Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us again this week for Everyone's Forgotten. Just a heads up because we are heading into the holiday season. We are going to be dark on our channel until January 3rd. And I'm about to read you another list, but it's not as long this time because half of it's already done. Mal and I will be appearing on Ladies of D&D and Gnome Anne's channel. Tomorrow specifically, we are going to have a solstice themed show of Be Gay Do Crime with her tomorrow night. Her name is Gnome Anne. Check our Twitter. I retweeted the event that she posted, and that is going to be at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. Super excited about that one because Gnome Anne is fabulous. Anne is the best, and I am super excited to finally get to play a game that she GMs. Mal got to last week and had a really good time, so I'm super pumped about it. Wednesday, we will be playing a game of The Last Masquerade, which I'm super excited about. I still don't quite understand how this game works, and I've read the rule book multiple times, but all I know is I got to pick a fancy name and a dress and a mask. And I will literally be wearing a masquerade mask. I bought Mal and I masquerade masks to wear because the whole setting is it 6 hours, Mal?
I think so.
I think it's like 6 hours of a masquerade ball that you have to try and keep your secrets while also accomplishing goals and trying not to get killed by a monster, yet also maybe trying to kill the monster if you can figure out who the monster is. There's a lot going on, but we're going to figure it out. But I have a pretty dress and a mask that I picked out, so that's all that matters. It makes me happy. On the 28th, we are going to be playing The Road That Rises. I believe this one is also going to be a late game. I believe it is going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. I'm not 100% on that. It's 7 p.m. Pacific time. So I think that's 10 o'clock. I'm really bad with my time conversions. I should be better at that by now. But we'll be playing with that. And in that game, we get to play with the beautiful Diana Restrepo. And I'm super excited that we get to play a game with her. So that'll be another one to check off the bucket list. And then on the 29th, we will be playing Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which, let me tell you, we are so excited about. And Anne will also be in that one as a player. So you will get to see her as a GM if you were not able to tune in to the beautiful cyberpunk boy problems that she ran, which I actually highly recommend you go and watch the VOD of on Ladies of D&D because that one was hilarious and wonderful. I got a cameo. Drew got a cameo. What was my name? Volvo Machete.
Yes, Volvo Machete, I hacked into your accounts and ruined your life.
You did. You hacked into my stuff. And what was Drew? Drew was Durango. Was it
Durango Shiv?
Durango Shiv.
Durango Shiv.
Because apparently the formula to making a cyberpunk name is a type of car and a weapon. The ones I was coming up with were not great, and she went off of Viking Mermaid instead of my name, so Volvo Machete is what stuck, and I will forever have that as part of my being now. Part of me will always be Volvo Machete. Alright, so that is it. Thirsty Sword Lesbians is going to be at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. That is going to be on Ladies of D&D. So all of the ones except for the Solstice show tomorrow are going to be on Ladies of D&D, and then the Solstice show will be on Gnome Anne's channel. Like I said, check out our Twitter. I retweeted that so that her event is there. We also are We keep saying we're going to do it. I promise we're literally going to do it. We are going to be hosting both Gnome and Ladies of D&D on our channel, so you can always see the stream and then pop over to their channel to watch and participate in the stream if you so choose. Also, tomorrow, our solstice show. I need to double check what the charity's exact name is. Give me just a second. I didn't do enough of my homework. So basically, during Be Gay Do Crime, it is an all LGBTQ party run by Anne, who is also a member of the community. Any proceeds that are made during the game, she usually takes donations and things along those lines, will all be going to LGBTQ freedom. It is an LGBTQ charity. So if you feel like donating, if you are able to, please give. It goes to a very good place, and a place that is very dear to many of our hearts. So keep that in mind as a possibility. All right, I think I have spoken enough. So yet again, here's our fantastic trailer that Mal put together. So give me just a second.
Hello, that's my face. Hello, everybody. My name is Mallory Mize. I am your game master for this game of Everyone's Forgotten. For those of you who may not have been around before, or those of you who may just have forgotten from last stream, Everyone's Forgotten is run using the Memory Lane system, which is a system that I created, which will be published in early 2022. It is run with 6 stats. You have force, finesse, character, learn, logic, and vibes. You get to assign a polyhedral dice to each of those. And that is what you roll to determine how good you are at that stat. There are also modifiers that come from either lessons, which give you additions, and pessimums, which give you subtractions. And that's how we determine how everything goes in this game. So to recap, we find ourselves in a town called Grimsby. The government decided a long time ago, due to something we're not quite sure of yet, that when tragedies happen in town, rather than, fix them in a way that's normal, we're just going to erase people's memories and start from scratch and try again. To what end, we really don't know yet, but we're working on it. In the past couple of episodes, we have not had Calvin because he was called away to the church for a church emergency, according to Paul. Paul is the current preacher at the church in town, and Calvin is one of the priests in training to take over for Paul when the time comes. While Calvin has been away, we have been following Quinn and Tom, who have discovered quite a bit in the past couple of episodes. The mysterious calls that they were getting from the Reality Corporation that named somebody named Penelope, we found out was Tom's sister. And we found Penelope at the Marjorie Alderman Rehabilitation Center working as the receptionist. But Penelope was having some really strange reactions, at some moments acting like everything was perfectly fine and that she was just doing her job, and at other points seemingly panicking about being there and what her state of being was. Um, Tom and Quinn were able to get her out of the facility, and along with Maya, took her to the toy store before taking refuge at Calvin's house, because Calvin and Maya at this point are not identified as being people who helped to take Penelope, but Quinn and Tom are. Uh, at this point, that's the long and short of where we are. We also found out that Maya has been flagged for some reason. Her account, when Quinn went to hack it and see information on everybody, Maya's account has been flagged for a certain reason. And also, when Penelope was taken back once they were at Calvin's house, Penelope realized that something she had heard in the cold, dark room that they had been keeping her in when she wasn't in the rehabilitation facility doing her job, was that somebody had asked her if she saw Maya to make sure that Allison knew about it. And Allison is Maya's mother. So somebody has given Penelope this order, although she cannot seem to piece together who that may have been. I believe that's really all that's super noteworthy that we're going to need. Yes, and also Team Quam. How can I forget the love of our story? Quinn and Tom, though they did not know it until a couple of episodes ago, used to have a budding relationship. Now, obviously, with the whole memory erasing thing, they would not have any way of knowing that. But with some of their memories restored and being put back together, they were able to piece together that at one point they were an item. Whether we'll get that back, who knows? That's up to them. I just write the backstories, you know. But with that, if we can have you two come join me on screen, that would be lovely. You all will notice that tonight we are down a player. Tom is not with us tonight, played by our wonderful Drew Beasley. He had a scheduling conflict, and so for tonight, we have Calvin and Quinn with us. What we are going to do is Tom's reason for not being here will become apparent as we go through the story, but we are going to start in a bit of a different place. We rewind our clocks 48 hours from where we left off. And we have found Calvin in a small room in the church, with Paul and with Samuel. Austin, who is the third of you three that have been training to be priests together, is still nowhere to be found, strangely enough. He wasn't at your last meeting, and he's not at this one, at least not yet. But you and Samuel sit at a table. Paul is shuffling through paperwork. He looks not nervous, but sort of anxious to get things going. It is very early in the morning. You got a text at maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, you were asleep at that point, but Paul most definitely was not. And he sent you and Samuel and Austin a text in your group chat that essentially said, at the earliest time you were able, basically as soon as you woke up, you needed to report to the church. You needed to bring a bag of clothes with you for anything you would need for the next couple of days, that there was an emergency, and that it would take everybody to tend to what was happening.
I'll do that.
Yeah, so you hurry up, get your bag and stuff together, obviously grab anything that you would need to stay a couple of days anywhere that's not in your home, and you hurry off to the church. Once you're settled down in this room, and Paul is going through papers, he keeps looking at his watch, looking at his phone, every few minutes. It's almost like he's waiting on something very specific, but you certainly can't tell what. And at some point, he just kind of gives up and sighs very heavily, and pulls out more papers out of his bag. Calvin, Samuel, we need to have a discussion. Now I am sure that you two remember that a couple weeks ago we had talked in our last meeting. I had given you two paperwork, essentially a new preaching that was going to come to light soon enough, but I wanted you two to have time to study it. Remember we talked about this the other night at the church meeting, Calvin. I had asked if you had your paperwork.
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid our timeline has moved up. I have been praying hard about this, and I just feel that this is the time. So we are going to prepare everything, and at this week's service in just a few days, we are going to go ahead and share this with the community. I feel like it is the right time.
Your leadership, your call, makes sense.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for agreeing with me. Obviously, I'm going to ask you to take the head on this in a few days, but don't worry, we will have some one-on-one discussions about this beforehand, as it is a very big deal, as I'm sure you know, and I want to make sure that we are taking this with all the respect that it deserves. This will be changing for the community in many ways, and we need to be prepared, and we need to know that what we are about to share will change Grimsby for a bit.
Yep, I'll be serious as the grave.
Fantastic. So our first job in this,
for anyone with religious trauma.
yeah. If ours isn't showing in this episode, I don't know what is.
I'm already dreading it.
So our first job, he looks quite serious, and he's finally found the paper that he needs, and he kind of slides it to the middle of the table so you all can see it. And he starts to stuff the rest of them back into his bag. Our first job is going to be that we need to rearrange some things in the sanctuary. We need to make sure that there is optimal room. We're going to have a very large crowd, and we need to make sure we can accommodate everybody in a very orderly fashion.
Okay, what do we need to do?
We're going to move. Sorry, Kylie, every time.
I'm sorry. I know I'm not here, but like.
No, I know. I know.
I don't like it.
You're doing great.
It.
Our very first job is we are going to rearrange the sanctuary. He starts like pointing at things on the small like drawing that he has. So essentially what the sanctuary normally looks like is it's got like a small stage at the front where the pulpit sits and everything, and there are two rows of two rows sort of sorry, I'm phrasing that wrong. There are like 10 rows of pews, but it's divided like half down the middle, so there's like a row of however many and a row of however many on either side of the aisle. What this shows is that you all are going to push them even farther out, and then there are like half pews that are going to go in beside them. So there will still be an aisle, but it will be much skinnier. And those half pews will sit along the aisle, and then the longer pews will sit out farther to the walls, essentially just maximizing the amount of people that you can get in the space. And then there's also a balcony up top that normally has like 10 or so chairs in it. It has room for more than that, but you all just never need more than that. But his plan proposes that you can get like 30 chairs in that balcony. And they're all just like folding chairs.
Well, fuck the choir then. They have nowhere to go.
No, the choir is like up on the stage in the back.
Okay.
They've got pews up there for the choir.
We're in one of those churches.
Yes.
Okay.
So he shows you all these plans, and without another word like picks up his bag and goes, okay, so we need to get on this right away. This will probably take us most of the morning, if all else, maybe a little into the afternoon. I have some help coming, and you all walk out of the activity building and into over towards the main building, and there are a few teenagers sitting outside, probably like high school age, like mid high school age, that Paul has asked to come help you all. And Paul go ahead and opens the door. You all head into the sanctuary, and he just without another word starts pushing pews to be over to the side, and the high school boys start loading in the half pews and placing them down.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get in on it with all of my D6 in force. I can really push stuff around.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I'm not even gonna make you
You're as
roll
strong as I
these
am.
they're they're not super heavy or anything, and with these boys helping you all, don't take a ton of time in moving those out. Now the half pews the high school boys have taken care of. You can try to help, but they wave you off and go, no, like Paul asked us to do this. We're more than happy to help with the cause. They're very gung-ho about whatever this is, even though, even to your knowledge, you don't even know what the full message is that you're supposed to be telling the whole town in a few days. But you see Samuel, he's like helping Paul move things, and then he goes into a back room that you would happen to know has a bunch of folding chairs in it, so you assume Samuel is going to start on the balcony.
Right on.
Would you like to keep helping in the sanctuary, or do you want to help with the balcony, or would you like to go do something else?
I'm gonna keep up helping in the sanctuary, whatever the heaviest work is, to take my mind off this heavy ass shit I just found out.
That's fair.
Doing that good old emotional openness.
Yeah,
By that I mean utter repression.
Yeah, absolutely. You love to see it. So you go ahead and
Story
you
of my life.
you like see the boys lining up the half pews, and Father Paul just goes, would you mind to like push those up against the pews? We want to just maximize aisle space. You never know when an emergency is going to happen, and we need to like get somebody in and out really quickly.
Right.
Yeah, so you go to do that. Give me an observation check.
Okay.
You never know when we need to get someone out quickly.
I got a D6 in that too. Hot damn.
Fantastic. You're
Six.
doing great. You got what?
6.
Oh, that's fantastic. That'll totally work. So while you're doing that, you see Paul go to the pulpit, and he's pulling out papers and all that sort of stuff. He's like rearranging the paperwork that he's got on there. He tucks some papers under like on the small shelf that's under there, and then he takes his bag and picks it up and goes back towards his office.
Paul did?
Yeah. So Paul is now not in the room. You can see some of there are a few of the high schoolers still milling about. A couple of them have gone to help Samuel with the balcony. But the others are just like loading in the last of the half pews kind of toward the back of the sanctuary.
When I get a chance, I do want to kind of go and talk to him.
Yeah, sure.
About what's up.
Yeah, you totally can. If you want to, you can go ahead and head back there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I'll do that.
You head back to Paul's office. It's not very far off from the sanctuary. You just go back through a couple of swinging doors, and there's like a long hallway, and Paul's office is at the end. So you head down there and go ahead and peek in, and he's just sitting at his desk combing over paperwork.
I'll knock gently on the door frame.
Oh, Calvin, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and come in. And he takes off his glasses and places them down beside him.
So, about this whole thing, I'm pretty in the dark on what exactly is going on. Can you fill me in or fill us in a bit?
So
every little bit helps, right? I mean,
no, absolutely. I completely agree. From what I have prayed on, we need to be very. You all are going to be the worst today, and I can already tell.
I'm so sorry. It's just the phrase.
It's fine.
What I've prayed on this.
No, I get
me.
it.
I
get it.
God,
I get it.
I'm just gonna drink.
He shows you a couple of papers, and says, from what I've prayed on and what I've meditated on in this situation, is that we have to share a message with Grimsby. The time is coming that we need a revolution of sorts in how our town thinks and how our town is. Growth can only come from sacrifice, and that is very important to what we will be doing. Now, I can't explain further than that right now, but we have to move forward with this, and we have to be very careful in how we do it. Give me an observation check, please.
Hot damn. That D6.
Are we human sacrificing?
Ooh, 8.
Good thing I got
Lovely.
a gun.
We love that.
That's right. I rolled an 8. I found 2 extra sides on this D6.
That's great. I love that for you. You're so talented.
No, it's a plus 2.
So from what you can see around the room, he's sweating. He's seeming very calm about the situation. And to a point, he may be calm about the situation, but to another point, something is wrong. Like, you've never seen Paul like this. For every bit of calm that he is also very panicked. In the fact that it seems like if something goes wrong, something bad could happen. So he's not looking great. The paperwork that's in front of you, is essentially like a list of people that he knows will be there. And they are, some, you don't recognize a lot of the names, but you do recognize a couple as being people that work at City Hall, or at the Capitol building rather. But outside of that list, you don't recognize a ton of names.
I'm just saying right now, canon, Calvin has a cat.
Yes, canonically.
Yes, of course.
Canonically,
it is
Calvin
now
definitely
canon
has a
that
cat.
Calvin has a cat.
Yes.
Because
I would not have it any
is-
other way.
Ripley's the best.
Too precious.
She's
I love that she comes.
very
she
closely
has her
investigating
moment,
my
and
life.
she's like, "Hello, I'm here. Now
Ripley's
I shall leave.
Yep. Now I'm done because I was acknowledged.
You saw me, and now
Oh.
I must go."
Yep.
she's still
perfect.
right here.
I know.
She's just right out of frame. She's like 10 inches out of frame.
Bless her heart.
Here.
Um,
Do you want to chitter for the audience? Do you want to?
Oh,
Nope. Not yet. Someday we'll earn it, but not until then.
someday we will earn it. That's the goal.
So
oh God, we left
Would
him
I-
alone with a cat.
he'll be fine. Cat'll get a little high. He'll be all right.
He'll be fine.
So normal. I mean, Calvin is, this is normal.
Yeah.
But for me, would I remember? Does Calvin know that Paul is? What's the word I'm looking for? Is it regular for him to use this kind of like borderline religious extremist rhetoric?
For Paul, in
That's
most cases,
sketch.
in some cases, yes. Calvin would know that Paul gets very passionate about what he does. But in only certain circumstances does he use this. Not constantly, not all the time. If it's a normal sermon, Paul's very much relaxed about the whole thing. This seems to be something that for Paul seems like a very, very, very big deal. You wouldn't know exactly why it seems like a very big deal, but it definitely seems like this is important, and you can't pinpoint why.
I'll just come out with it. You look a little off there, a little sweaty. You're all right? I know we're exerting, but it's not like that hot. Are you good?
So he rolled a 1.
Yes.
So-
Fuck you,
Good.
Paul.
He's like visibly shaking. There's sweat pouring at this point. He takes his little handkerchief out and kind of dabs his head, and tucks it back into his pocket. Calvin, can you shut the door?
Yeah,
Never shut the door when you're in a room alone with
I will shut it.
priest.
you're muted.
No, I was just
What?
whispering. I said,
Oh.
never, I said never shut the door when you're alone in a room with a priest. Sorry, I had to make one joke. I had to make one.
There.
I'm sorry.
Bless.
Just
Everybody's either gonna love us or hate us for this episode, and I can't decide
People
which.
are gonna hate me so much.
alright.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I cope with my trauma with humor, and I am a recovering Catholic and have been for years. So, you know.
And
Just-
I'm not religious, but grew up Lutheran, so we have our own issues with the Catholics.
You're Catholic light. It's fine.
It's pretty much the same.
As Sean likes to describe it,
Yeah,
Lutheranism
you
is
know.
Catholic light.
Without the heresy.
Yeah, basically.
Once you shut the door and you sit back down, Paul pulls out a different set of paperwork from his back, and kind of spreads it out in front of you. It doesn't say a word, just sort of looks at his lap. You can see from this paperwork that there is about to be something very big. There are no names listed on this. There are no organizations' names. There's nothing that would indicate where this came from. But there are paths for people to walk, specifically like things that would indicate that like people will walk down the aisle and then file in behind pews and things like that. From what you can gather, this is a mass wiping. They're going to wipe everybody that's in the church.
Fucking knew it.
I don't know if I should say anything about it to him.
He's
Shit.
just like stuttering at this point, going, Calvin, I don't know what. This wasn't my choice. It's never my choice. Just like won't look up from his lap. But like that's what all these documents tell you. They do not name names. They do not name. There's absolutely no specifics at all. There is just the like marching pattern of people. There are a few numbers as far as like inventory that they think they'll need of Wipeite and things like that. You also notice a small note down at the bottom of one of the pages. It's in like a very small print. So what looks like maybe a paragraph is actually probably 2 or 3. And it's detailing essentially that this is not regular Wipeite. This is like Wipeite 2.0. It's a new thing that they've been working on that they think will cause, or that will fix a rather a lot of the problems that they've been having with Wipeite, specifically detailed accounts that they've been getting back of people recovering memories, which shouldn't be happening. So they have crafted a new version that they think will fix that. But this is the trial run.
He's sitting, right?
Mhm. You're both sitting at this
I'm
point.
gonna, oh, okay, cool. I was gonna say I'm gonna sit across from him. I'm just gonna try to zero in on him and just, I know it's not your choice. Is there anything you can tell me about who's forcing this on you? Why here? Anything? And if I can, roll persuasion,
Yeah, you
to
can totally
help me
roll
out.
persuasion for sure.
because I have a fat persuasion.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, that's a d20. I was so excited. Then I was like, that number is higher than my total. I can't do that.
I did that once and I was like, yeah, I rolled so well. And I was like, shit, I rolled a d20.
Wrong day.
It's not good enough. I need that to be higher.
Do you have? Oh,
That's
you
only
have
a 7.
spark.
Oh, you have
You
a spark. You both have a
Then
spark
I'm
at the top
using
of the
it.
episode. Okay, go for it.
That's a good deal better. 13.
Okay. Yeah, with a 13, Paul just sort of sits and shakes his head. I never know where these things come from. I get told things, and as somebody in my position, I have to follow those things. I don't really get a choice. I don't get a choice, Calvin, and if I don't do it, they could really hurt people, and I can't let that happen. I can't let that fall on my conscience, even though I don't think I'd even be around to remember it, but I can't. I get notes. They show up here in the office, and then I do it. I preach whatever the sermon is. And a lot of the times it's not that bad. A lot of the times it's about, like, happy is the town that follows the light, and like the thing on the lighthouse, and like how we should follow the lighthouse, and like it's not that bad. But then times like these, it's so they say it'll fix everything, but I don't think this fixes things. And like I get that I can't remember all of the times that this should have fixed things, because obviously I wouldn't remember, but I don't think it's right. But when they frame it as faith, and you have to have faith in something, and you live in a place like this, faith is about all I can get to help me survive, you know?
Why do you think I'm here?
No, I get it. I feel bad that you and Samuel and Austin got dragged into this, but they can't just pick one to back me up, because then what if something happens to one of you, you know? Then they're all out of luck, and then they have nobody to do this job, and it's the easiest way to spread a lot of things, because they just need somebody charismatic up front to talk, and then they just believe you. And I feel awful about it, but like I said, what choice do I have? I have not had a choice since I was in your shoes.
Bullshit.
Do I remember this sort of thing happening before? Would I know that?
Elaborate, please.
Like another. He's talking about how they've had to wipe people in the past through the church. Would I be aware of that, or is that something I would have forgotten?
Within the past 5-ish months, which is as far back as you can remember, it has not had to happen. And when it has happened before, it has never happened on this large of a scale. Where Paul has been concerned in being able to help with this, it has never been more than like a family at a time. Like families that came in for counseling on tragedies or things like that. It has never been bigger than that. This is the biggest thing that they've ever asked Paul to do. And you can tell that he's very much struggling with it. When he says he doesn't have a choice, it sounds like he at least believes that.
What's his pin, his badge, by the way?
His badge right now is blue.
So that's more than a year?
No. Blue is between 6 months and a year.
Okay. So it's relatively recent that he's had to do it.
Yeah.
What if I could tell you that there might be a choice this time around?
Don't fuck us.
What if that? What if that thing I said?
Roll me persuasion.
Ah, don't fuck
That's
us,
my favorite.
man. Don't fuck us.
I'm gonna do it. That's an 11.
Okay, yeah, 11's fine. Paul looks at you and goes, "What kind of choice? It's not just me. I don't do this for me. I would take them wiping me a million times over some of the things that they've asked me to do."
I know it's not a lot, but
I don't fucking trust him.
I can't really say what kind of choice yet. I have some thoughts, some ideas. I would need time, which I know we're short on. Just if I do this, don't react badly. And I'm gonna slowly take out my phone and start recording this. Like not record like video recording, but like taking photos of the documents.
He doesn't say a word. He just sits there and watches you. But he doesn't stop you in any way. But before you can finish, he goes, "You can't send those yet. To wherever you want to send them, you can't send those yet."
Wasn't sending him anywhere.
Okay.
Just need to keep them.
Okay. No, that's fine. But you can't send them anywhere yet. If we are going to do this, and if we're going to pull this off, we need them to think that everything's going according to plan, at least for a day or two. Because
Right.
if we set them off too early, they'll panic.
Let I'll take this where I need to take it, and I'll see what we can do. I can't promise anything. I don't know hardly more. Clearly, I don't even know quite as much as you about what's going on, but I've got some ideas.
Don't go anywhere yet. I wasn't supposed to tell you and Samuel. Somebody's coming today, and if you're not here, they might think something's up. So
Okay.
just stay for the rest of the day, and tomorrow morning, go where you gotta go.
How long until this happens?
We've got a couple days. If you leave tomorrow morning, we'll still have about 48 hours.
Well, that's less than I'd like, but okay.
I don't want you hurt. I don't want Samuel hurt. Austin's not been around for like a week. And I know why.
Yeah, I've noticed that. You know?
Yeah, I know. Austin found out some things. Not about this, thank God, or he may never come back, but they wiped him. He found out too early the full duties of being a priest here, and they found out and decided it wasn't worth their time to try to convince him that it was, the enlightened path, the path to the lighthouse, or whatever it is they say to you all now in recruitment. So they wiped him, and he's wherever.
Is he coming back?
Yeah, he'll come back. Whenever he wakes up and they do his whole here's you as a person thing, they'll tell him that he was a priest in training and that he just fell and hit his head or something. I don't know. But he'll come back after that, and then it'll be the three of you again. But for right now, it's just you and Samuel and me, trying to pull off the impossible.
Well, Hopefully, it's not as impossible as we think. I mean, on the other hand, though, if we do nothing, we get wiped. If we do something and fail, we'll get
Why?
wiped. Hopefully, not worse. Probably worse. Hopefully, not worse.
Maybe worse though.
Can it really get worse?
That just occurred to
than
me, and
the wiping?
shit.
Who knows? Maybe. But with that being the end of the conversation, he nods. He takes all the paperwork that you just took pictures of and puts it back in his bag. Not a word about this to Samuel. He's very sweet, but he also gets very dedicated to a cause.
You can't say I'm not a true believer myself, but clearly there's more of that going on here.
There's a difference
Hell of a week.
There's a difference between believing in something that is a higher power. If that is something that makes you feel better as a person, then absolutely. If you want to follow teachings, then that's great. But what I will not allow is for my higher beliefs to be used as a front for those teachings to be used against people. I won't allow for that. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
That's what we're gonna try to fix.
And with that, he stands and pushes his chair back. He straightens up his shirt, and he holds the door open for you to also exit.
Okay, yeah, I'll exit and stick around for the day,
Yeah.
doing what I can.
So for the rest of the day, it goes by fairly well. You all finish with all of the pews and all of the half pews. The balcony is now filled with chairs. You see all of the high school boys come up to Paul at one point or another, and he thanks them and shakes their hand, and you can overhear all of them say something to the effect of that they will be there at the sermon. And obviously Paul just nods and goes, looking forward to seeing you. Absolutely. Things of that nature. And they all exit one by one. You and Samuel, for the rest of the day, are given tasks that seem fairly small. Pamphlets have been printed for the occasion. Like at most sermons, it'll say like the date and what the name of the sermon is, and like Paul's name and all of your names, like what the choir will be singing that day, that sort of thing. You all lay all of those out. Where people will be sitting along the pews. You lay one in every chair in the balcony. He helps you gather he has you help gather all of the sheet music. Late in the evening, at about 7 o'clock, you see somebody walk into the back of the sanctuary. They do not say a word, but they stand in the shadows. You can't make it out super well, but you can tell that it's probably somebody that's about 6 foot. They seem to be dressed in like a suit, from what you can tell, probably like a darker color like charcoal. But they never say a word. They just watch you all from afar the entire time that you're going through sheet music and preparing for the day. When they come in, Paul seems to get visibly nervous. Like he starts to shake again. He starts to sweat pretty badly again. There's like a stutter in some of his words, and every once in a while, out of the corner of his eye, he peeks at that corner where somebody stands.
You should go put things down
they
near
just-
that corner.
Are they just like standing around watching?
Yeah, they're just watching you all. Like they are very clearly just standing there staring at you.
Yeah, I'll do that actually. I'll make an excuse to like move stuff further that way so I can get a better look at this person.
Paul sort of gets like the the drift that you're trying to go with, and he nods and goes, Calvin, like it says louder than he needs to at this point, says, Calvin, could you please distribute this sheet music? If you'll take that half, and points back towards the corner where that person is standing, and then hands the other half to Samuel and goes, and Samuel, if you'll take this half, and then points to the farther side of the room away from that person, I would appreciate it. I'm just going to go ahead and I will fill the choir pews with the sheet music. And he takes some of it and heads towards the back of the stage.
Well, all right, I'll head that way.
The person in the corner doesn't move at all, just very clearly like standing tall, shoulders back, hands are held in front of him, just like sort of just like down and crossed, but they seem very relaxed. Like they do not seem tense at all for what this moment is. You head back and start to put sheet music down on every pew. Where in each place a person would be sitting, so there's plenty of sheet music to go around for every song. And you get closer. It's still pretty dark back in that corner, but you can tell that it's a man. He's got like a buzz cut, sort of. He's wearing sunglasses indoors in a dark corner of a church. And he does indeed have like a gray charcoal suit on with like a powder blue shirt underneath. He does seem to have like a badge of some sort tucked away, like in the like right at his waist, but it doesn't, there is no signifier on the outside of the badge of what it would be, but that's what it looks like, is like what you've seen Quinn carry around. She also has give me an observation roll for this part of it, actually, because this wouldn't be completely apparent unless you're looking very hard.
6.
Okay. So you clock in his ear. He's wearing an earpiece.
What color is his hair?
It's like a dark buzz cut.
Okay.
Like dark brown or black, maybe.
I was so worried. I was like, don't you do that to me today.
Oh, did you think it was Riley?
Oh, God, I did.
No. Riley's blonde. He has got a little bit more than a buzz cut, too.
Riley's not blonde. Riley has red hair.
Or Riley has red hair, you're right. Riley does have red hair. But still has a bit more than a buzz cut.
What kind of scum has red hair? Wait, shit.
Exactly.
Both of you. I had fake red hair at one point. Never real, though.
It's okay. You're not missing anything.
I don't know what to make of this person being here. How to approach that situation, even. Sketch. I feel like approaching him is a disaster move.
Don't do it.
You know what, though? I'm gonna acknowledge him. I'm gonna give him that white guy head maneuver. Just a nod.
Just a very solemn priest nod.
Yeah.
Yep.
He sees this and he gives you the same sort of head nod back. But other than that, does not move. Once you start to keep distributing the sheet music, and get kind of further up in the pews, you see him lift like his wrist to his mouth, like almost like he's talking into something. And then he kind of moves up into the balcony, so you can still see that he's there. And he sits in one of the folding chairs that's closest to the front of the balcony, so he can watch you all from up there.
What a creep.
Well, shit. That was my opportunity to try to talk to him.
I mean,
I don't know
nothing's
if that
saying
would've
you
been a
can't
good
go
idea.
to the balcony.
Yeah, you can go distribute to the balcony.
That's true. There is nobody distributing to the balcony.
I'll try to do that naturally.
Okay, so you
Not just, like, immediately follow him up.
You finish distributing to your side of the pews, but that's about as much as Paul gave you. You don't have enough to go distribute to the balcony. I mean, there may be more around here somewhere. You assume Paul would have had to have enough printed to go to the balcony.
Oh yeah, I'll go grab another set.
Yeah, so Paul finishes distributing to the choir pews and comes back up, and he still has a stack in his hand. Like, that's definitely thick enough to take care of the balcony.
You okay?
I'll
I'll nod my intent to go up the steps.
He
to him.
kind of eyes the man that is now sitting in the balcony. His eyes do not refrain from going wide, but he just very quickly nods and hands you the stack. And then again, much louder than he needs to for the size of the sanctuary that you're in, says, "I am going to go print out more material. I will be in my office." And
Oh
then
my
he
God.
quickly
Paul is
exits
the
the room.
fucking worst. Fucking hate Paul.
he just very quickly exits the room.
I'm going to go do something in the other room. Excuse me. Ugh. Fucking Paul.
Odd.
giant
Okay.
liar.
But he gives you the stack, and then he heads to his office.
Okay. So I'll go up the steps then to the balcony. Is this dude still sitting there?
Yeah, he's still sitting there. He seems to be watching Samuel. When you get to the top, that's very possibly just because you were out of sight. But he's watching Samuel, who is much slower than you at distributing sheet music. It seems like he keeps getting pages sucked together. So he's
Feel
just
that.
like very carefully trying to displace them from each other, and lay them.
Samuel's just bad at life. Poor Samuel. He needs help.
He is the Lamone of this campaign, for those of you that have seen Dimension 20. Poor Samuel.
So, as I am putting these things, putting the individual leaflets of music away, I will go, just make my way over to him, in the course of, my progression, and Jesus.
I mean, he is sitting in one of your chairs.
Yep. This is so dumb. Everything about this is a bad decision. But hey, that's pen and paper games. That's what we do. That's how we
It's
do.
okay, man.
Yep.
Just don't sell me out.
As I approach him, I'll give him, just casually putting stuff away still, but I'll give him a nod again and a smile and say, "Evening, come for a prayer?"
He at first just looks at you, kind of like he's astounded that you've decided to speak to him.
And his eyes are black. Or some
He
shit.
turns into a dragon.
Yep, roll for initiative. It's Calvin versus a dragon in a
Fucking
church.
yes.
You get no
Alright,
help.
Shit,
cool.
I surrender.
But he
Hey, Mallory beat a dragon with calisthenics, so
I did.
I'm just saying.
I sure did. If you haven't seen that, go watch me play an Animal Crossing
Go.
villager. It was great.
Go and learn some D&D and watch the Animal Crossing Honey Heist game.
It was wonderful.
That was a
Um,
spoiler. I'm so sorry I ruined it.
He looks at you and goes, I came for something like that. I am here on behalf of some of the government officials that will be attending on the day of the sermon, just to make sure that everything is good. They will be sitting up here in the balcony, so I decided to come up here and just make sure everything is safe.
Of course. Anything I can help you with?
No, but I will take that sheet music and I'll sit it in this chair when I'm done.
Sure. I'll hand him one.
The government officials are gonna be sitting in the fucking balcony.
He
Son of a
takes
fucking
it
bitch.
and he starts to read over it. But he holds it in his hands and just stays there. He watches you as well. 5 for Latina, you're completely correct.
I love you.
That
a good point.
he sits and he watches he kind of goes back and forth between like
Creeping in
looking
the
at
shadows
you
of the church.
and then just watching Samuel, who is still struggling to get pieces of sheet music to separate from each other. He's finally finished with one song, but it seems to have not occurred to him that he could do all the songs at once. So now he's starting on the second song
Bro.
and trying to
Fucking
just viciously
Samuel.
get sheet music apart.
Samuel rolled a 1 on his dexterity check.
Samuel rolled a 1 on life, and this is what he gets.
Poor Samuel.
But
I almost feel bad.
but he Samuel is just like I said, separating the second song of sheet music, going back through the pews that he's already been through once. And you see Paul come back out of his office. He's got more papers that he's just like organizing on the pulpit now. Things like that. He pulls out the map of how the pews and stuff are supposed to look and sort of seems to be double checking all of it. You can see from up here that like Paul is like shiny on his forehead, like this man has been sweating, and he was like in the back like trying to blot all of it away, but it wasn't working because he's just so unbelievably nervous at this person sitting here.
You gotta chill out. Shit.
Do you say that out loud in front of the man?
No.
They
Definitely
actually
not.
both have earpieces as well. What you didn't see is they exchanged it in Paul's office. The microphone's in the collar.
Yep, you just cut back like leverage.
Chill out, man.
Well, let us know if you need anything. I have got refreshments of some kind, I'm sure, around here. Been here a bit, so I'm sure if you want a drink, we can furnish it.
Thank you. I ate and such before I got here. I'll be here for the night with you all. I'll be leaving in the morning.
All right. Externally, internally.
Setting up the pews and putting the paperwork out is going to take the entire night?
No, from what Calvin can tell, at least you're not here. But from what Calvin can tell, everything is almost wrapped up in the sanctuary, or at least the jobs that Paul has given you for today. Now you obviously know that there are a couple days ahead, and you and Paul know that you will be leaving in the morning. But
He's a vampire.
like you all are almost wrapped up for the night. Samuel's taking the long part of it. But like you're wrapped up with the balcony. Paul seems to be wrapping up downstairs, making sure everything's in place. You have no clue why he would want to stay the night.
I don't know if I want to push that. No, I don't want to push that. Well, church is a welcoming place, so I'm sure you can find a space to stay overnight. Just let us know if you need something.
I will. Thank you so much.
He's gonna bug the
Calvin,
fucking place. He's gonna bug
you're
it.
Calvin.
Yes. Calvin Fox.
Very good to know, and very nice to meet you, Calvin.
You as well. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Good man.
I'm not sure that you need it.
Not everyone who comes into church is, ready to give that information, or any. I've certainly taken confession from people who are wanting anonymity. I understand.
Thank you for your understanding. And with that, he stands, he puts the sheet music that you gave him in the chair and makes sure it's laid out just like you laid it in every other chair. He's very polite, that he wants to make sure that it looks nice the way you intended. And he goes down the balcony stairs.
All right. I will go and continue with what I'm doing.
Okay, you finish up the balcony. It only takes a couple more minutes. And the rest of the night goes by smoothly. Samuel does eventually figure out that 3 sheet musics need to go at every position. So after he finishes up the second one, he has to go back through all over again. But he does eventually
Damn
figure
it,
that
Samuel.
out. Paul makes sure that everything is according to plan, even going as far as measuring how big the aisle is, but everything is according to the specifications that you all were given. You see your friend without a name kind of wander around the sanctuary. He looks over Paul's shoulder at the map a couple of times and kind of comparatively, like you can see him in his head counting um, just how many seats there are, how many pamphlets are laid out, things like that. You get the sense that he's been sent here to make sure everything is set up correctly, physically at least, for how the sanctuary and the balcony are set up. He seems to be pleased with all of it, though. He doesn't say anything to you or Paul or Samuel that you can tell about any of it. And eventually, when Paul is satisfied, when Samuel is done, when Mr. No Name is,
The man with no name.
yeah, when the man with no name finally seems to be, settled about everything, you and Paul and Samuel meet up again at the front of the church. And Paul says, "Thank you both for a very wonderful and enlightening day. We got a lot done, and I am very I'm very sure that this will be a complete success on our parts, and I could not be doing it without the two of you. Now you all get a lot of rest. Our friend with no, or our friend here, he obviously doesn't say with no name, but our friend here will be staying the night with you all. You would know, Calvin, that there is a room in the activity building up on the upper floor of it that is specifically made for the priest in training to be able to stay in should the need arise. There are 3 beds in it. There's like a small sectioned like living area with like 3 separate bedrooms. So he would be staying in Austin's room for the night, since Austin clearly is not here to use it. So he says he will be staying with you all for the night. I will be over here in the in my area, my bed area, like within the church. He does have a house like off of church property, but because of the nature of what's happening, Paul is also staying on property. There is a like sort of not attic area, but it's on the upper floor of the church, for him specifically to stay in, that's like above his office.
He gets a fancy church loft.
Yeah, he gets a church loft
He
essentially.
gets a church loft.
So he will be staying in his church loft for the night. And he if you all need anything, you all know how to get a hold of me. You also have my number, and he like kind of motions to the man who is not standing in your small huddle, but he is like a little bit off, definitely close enough to where he can hear it, but he's not trying to seem like he's like in the group. So he's he nods. Paul says, "I'm sure you two do not mind to show him to where he's going. I had one of the boys take his bag over there before they left earlier." And with that, he sort of waves and goes back into the church.
I'll pick him over. Samuel will probably get lost.
Samuel doesn't know where it is.
Uh,
He's
yeah,
only been there 5 times, but he has no idea where it is.
Samuel, bless his heart, he gets a little confused between the buildings, and doesn't understand the difference between the main building and the activities building. But eventually, after you start to walk in that direction, Samuel just nods really over enthusiastically, like, "Yes, I knew where that was the whole time," and then follows you, as well as our friend with no name follows you as well. And you all get over to the activities building. Obviously, you and Samuel have keys, so you can unlock it, and then you can also unlock the second door. The door to your all's living quarters, obviously you and Samuel also only have a key to, as well as Paul and Austin. You four are the only ones that would have keys to this particular place. But you all file in, and there is a duffel bag sitting on the coffee table. The man walks in and goes, I didn't know which bedroom to tell them to put it in, because obviously I don't want to take one of your bedrooms. I'm just here for the night, so if you could just point me to whatever bed I can sleep in.
Sure, there's a guest room, or an unoccupied room. Could give them Austin's.
Cool. And he takes his duffel bag, and he goes into that room, and places the duffel bag down on the bed, and he doesn't close the door yet, but you can see him unzip it, and he's like pulling out a change of clothes that are not a suit. It's just like sweatpants and a t-shirt. And he's just
Ducky
like pulling
pajamas?
out stuff. If only. No, he's not one to wear ducky pajamas.
Yeah.
But now, if somebody wants to draw fan art of this man in ducky pajamas, I'm not gonna be mad. I'm not gonna be mad.
Still wearing sunglasses.
Still
with
wearing sunglasses.
earpiece, and
Earpiece.
and the cufflink he could talk into.
Yeah. But he just holds the cufflink because
Yeah,
he's
he
in a
just he
t-shirt
has to
ducky
hold
pajamas.
it.
But yeah, he before he changes or anything, he kind of just leans into his doorway and then just starts to watch you and Samuel.
Don't like that.
That's not.
Not gonna do
creepy
anything
at
about it.
all, man.
I'm gonna just go ahead and retire to my room then.
Okay,
Lock
cool.
the fucking door, man.
You go
I'll lock
into your-
everything.
You go into your room and shut the door and lock it. You hear Samuel in like the small kitchenette that you all have, just like getting water and things like that. You hear a bit of a crash, and then you hear your friend with no name just go, "Are you okay?" And Samuel just very sheepishly goes, "Yes, I'm fine." And then you hear somebody skitter into a room, shut and lock the door, which you assume is probably Samuel. And then after about 5 more minutes, you hear another door shut and lock. So you assume that you are probably a good from prying eyes for at least a while.
If I can, then I'm gonna take a look over these documents I got photos of to see if I can glean anything extra from them.
Yeah, feel free. Roll me investigation.
Sweet. D6 with no bonus. Let's see what's up. A 2.
What did you put?
Probably nothing.
What did you put all your stuff in? I just need
A
to
lot.
know.
I have D12s in vibes and in learn,
Oh, okay, that would explain it.
and D10 in character. Everything else is a D6.
Okay, that's fair. So you don't
I
gain
spread
too
my
much.
shit out.
You don't gain too much different than what we talked about earlier. You can
Okay.
see the numbers on the page
Hands are written.
do specifically call for like quantities that they would need of white bite, but you can probably guess that the number that they have is bigger than what you all plan seating for. So it's very possible that one of two possibilities is happening. One, they have planned for extras in case something were to happen, and like some of them would break or get misplaced or something like that. Or they are planning for, if this goes well, to very quickly roll it out. But you can also confidently say that it is not a big enough number to get everybody in town.
That's good.
Is it stored in the church, or is
Is
it
it-
being brought?
It is, from what you can gather, it's being brought. It is definitely not
Okay.
made in the church. It would have to be made and put into vials and syringes off site,
Okay.
and then be brought here. Um, but it would take a lot of people to transport that much and administer it quick enough for people to not panic.
I'm waffling on texting the group that I have something, but I'm not going to in case this dude has some kind of text reader like the police.
Fair enough. And so, is there anything else that you would like to try to do tonight before you go to sleep?
Which night are we on in my time? Is this when Tom spent the night?
Yes, this is the
Okay.
night that Tom spent the night. So sometime the next day is when you all would be showing up at Calvin's house with Penelope.
Okay.
I'll just say a good long prayer for safekeeping and luck. Shit.
You
Kind of lost of what to
Thoughts
say
and
at this
prayers, man.
instance.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yep. Spelled THOTS.
Well, that's a T-shirt if I've ever
Thoughts
heard
and
it.
prayers.
God. Again, either people will love us for this episode or hate us for this episode. Who knows?
Right? Like, I would not be sleeping tonight. I'm glad I'm not the only one who would I would not be sleeping tonight. I would keep myself up the entire time.
Is that
so
really a good idea, though?
I don't know, but I don't
That's your decision.
I don't trust some dude in the next fucking room who's got a goddamn earpiece and won't tell
yeah.
anybody his name.
I'm definitely locking my room.
Yeah, your room is
Put
completely
the chair
locked.
under the door, under the doorknob. Extra.
And if we're
precaution.
being realistic about phone security, I'm gonna do this and make sure that there's not a fingerprint on my phone. PSA: don't use a fingerprint scanner on your phone. Use a PIN. Actually, use a password for most security, but nobody be grabbing my
Tips of the
finger at night.
day.
The more you know. So you lock down your room. You double check your phone does have a password on it. Great news.
Good.
And you
Great news, were
you
smart.
you say this prayer to whoever you would like to send it out to the universe, to a specific being, whatever.
Flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah, whatever Calvin in this moment feels.
Is there a protection saint? I don't know the saint lore.
Please feel free to Google it. Let's see what happens. I'm sure there is. I know there's like a protection from certain elements, like Saint.
Christopher?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Saint Christopher is protection to travelers and against sudden death.
I mean,
So that's helpful. I mean,
that feels accurate.
Saint Michael would also make sense. Catholic.org, RIP my search history.
this is Saint Christopher is the saint of protection, the patron saint of safety, and the Catholic saint of protection is called upon in various situations to offer protection against harm and any evil lurking around. For example, the patron Saint Christopher is famous for the protection that he provides for soldiers and travelers.
I mean, we're kind of in a gray area there, but
I think it.
you know,
The fact that I
This
still
whole game
remember
has been
that,
gray
I
areas
swear
so
to
far.
God,
This whole game is very much a gray area.
this shit is stuck in my brain forever.
So you send this prayer to Saint Christopher, and then you lay down for the night. I will leave it up to you how much sleep you think Calvin gets.
it's probably going to be hard to go to sleep, but for multiple reasons, but he'll get some sleep at least. He'll get enough that he's not a zombie the next day. Just out of
Right.
force of habit.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. You wake up early the next morning, and by the time you do wake up, you hear commotion out in the small like shared living area / kitchenette. You can just hear somebody walking around pulling out pans and things like that. You know that in times like these where you have to stay at the church, which has only happened a couple times. The last time was when the church was having like a major like sort of fundraiser thing just for like renovation costs and things like that. Was the last time you and Samuel stayed here, and Austin was there as well at that point. Um,
Super loud. Sorry.
but when things like that happen, normally people in the community are more than happy to like help like make food for you all and things like that. um so
R.I.P. Austin.
yeah, that's all you hear outside your door. But obviously, whatever you would like to do this morning and however you'd like to do it's completely up to you.
I mean, if there's already commotion, I'm gonna go out and see what's being done. If there's cooking going on, I'll jump into that shit.
Yeah, you walk out and you see Samuel. He is just cooking and doing his thing. For all of the tragedy that just happens to be Samuel's life, not that anybody would like erase his memory for that,
He's a
but just
really
like
good
Samuel,
cook.
Samuel's just like really unfortunate as a human. He's very good at cooking. So
Excellent.
he like that's his
Can't
like
do
one thing.
anything but cook, and he chose to become a priest.
Yeah, pretty much. So he yes,
Brilliant
completely on the
chef
money.
decided to become a priest.
Yes, on the money. So he always volunteers to be the ones to like cook when you all are staying here. Which you and Austin always just like allowed for because let's face it, it made Samuel happy and it meant he couldn't break anything or nothing could break him. So you all just went with it. So he's sitting there and he's cooking and he's making eggs and toast and bacon and all this stuff. And your friend with no name is just sort of sitting there. He is not staring at Samuel though, thank goodness, because that'd be very unsettling. No, instead he's just looking at his he's like looking at a newspaper and just sitting there. He's back in another suit. This one is like a black and he's got a red shirt on underneath it. But
That's
he
never
looks
good.
he looks just as put together as he did yesterday.
Rico Suave over here.
I'll come out and just morning, everybody.
The man does not look up from his newspaper, but does do a brief good morning. Samuel, though, is very ready for the day. Good morning, Calvin. It's so nice to see you. How did you sleep last night? Literally never, like, making eye contact with you, but still, like, perfectly stirring the eggs, flipping the bacon. Like, he's on top of his game.
Calvin.
This is
Oh, man.
Samuel's one element of life that he gets to have
Samuel
that goes
missed
well
his
for him.
calling.
This is his one thing that he gets.
Samuel missed his actual calling.
Yeah, completely. To be honest, like this is what Samuel was supposed to do in life. It just
So
didn't.
the newspaper he's reading, by the way, is it
Yes.
today's date? It's not some date from like the day Kennedy died or like in the future or some shit, right?
No, it is today's
It
date on the
is.
newspaper.
Okay.
It is
I was worried about that.
from when World War II was ended.
Yes.
It is Victory Day.
Yeah, no, it is today's date on the newspaper.
Like he's not reading some Zodiac killer announcement in the paper.
He's
No.
actually composing one by cutting out pieces of the paper.
Go ahead and give me an observation roll, though, please.
Okay. 6.
Okay, so for the newspaper on it, you can see he's got it open. And the way that you come into the room, you can see the front page of the newspaper. And on the front page, there is a small blurb about how there is going to be a huge announcement at the church in just a couple days. And
So it's
that
local, too,
everybody in
okay.
the community is more than welcome. Not only that, but encouraged to attend. That there will be multiple government officials there. That if you would like to meet any of them, that this is a wonderful opportunity to get to know your government and make your voice heard in a lot of ways. And that it's going to be a very large town event. And it lists like the address of the church, as well as like the time that it's happening. It's got a picture of Paul standing in front of the church, and it also like you from very far away, you're not like that far away, but like from the distance that you can make out your name, Samuel's name, and Austin's name in the article itself.
Would Quinn have read that in the morning?
Yes, I believe you did know. You did say that you all had a newspaper, so yes, I'm sure that was probably in the newspaper when you and Tom were out on the balcony at your house.
Quinn would have probably sent Calvin a text message.
Yeah.
That says, "Can you explain this?" and just a picture of the article.
So
I don't know if I want to
get
say
that
anything.
ding on your phone. You can absolutely choose to ignore
can
it
ignore
for right
it.
now. Like, yeah, you do not have to answer that.
As you know, because you
I don't
watched.
want to text around this guy.
As you know, because you watched what we did. We were
Yeah.
busy after that, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Doing
very
things.
possible that she never would have seen a text message anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can totally choose to ignore it for right now, especially if you would like to not text in front of Mr. No Name Man.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. I'm purposefully leaving it on red and hoping that sends the message that I want it to.
Okay.
But probably not.
Okay, so
Quinn's just like, you son of a bitch.
Samuel finishes up breakfast. He plates a bunch of stuff, and just like kind of spreads it across this like island bar situation that you all have. Like
God
breakfast
damn, you
bar,
got a
not
fucking
drinking bar, obviously.
Breakfast buffet.
But like,
I
yeah,
had
Samuel sets out
coffee.
like bacon and eggs and all this stuff.
Booze.
I'm gonna start the day right.
Mr. No Name is handed a plate by Samuel that's just empty, and he just gets like a few slices of bacon and like an egg. He like doesn't
Just
seem to want to take a
one
lot of your all's
egg.
food. Yeah, just like a little bit of egg, you know.
One egg and 2 pieces of bacon, and that is it.
And that is it. And he sips on some coffee that Samuel has made.
That's the breakfast of a serial killer.
Yeah, it is.
Just saying.
Yeah, it is.
That's my favorite comment I've ever seen.
The Lord helps those who help themselves to the breakfast buffet. Yes. Oh, I forgot I did make us
I need
breakfast
that like
in
on
my
a tote bag or something.
anxiety.
You did.
In my anxiety-ridden, oh my god, what am I gonna fucking do?
You did. With that being said, Calvin, I assume you also would like to help yourself to breakfast.
Oh yeah. So
And
load it
if-
up.
If poor
poisoned
Samuel
it.
has made all of it.
Samuel poisoned it. He was the true
One of
villain
everything.
after all.
It was always Samuel.
It was always Samuel. Samuel was actually the man behind the mask.
So you all have breakfast. Samuel also helps himself to food, and he cleans the entire kitchen. He sort of considers the kitchen like his one domain that he can truly help in. So he takes it
Unless
very
it's
seriously.
getting water, and then he breaks shit.
Yeah, and then everything's a disaster. But like when he actually has to cook, he's got this down pat. So he does all of that, and you all are then he goes back and to get dressed and everything. Obviously, our friend here is already suited up for the day, but he does not take his eyes off the newspaper. And you know that this can't be that interesting. Like, you've read the newspaper here. It's not super full of stuff. But he seems very enthralled by whatever he's reading. Calvin, I believe you're muted.
I will let him be with that then. Honestly, I'm not super interested in disturbing him and drawing further attention to myself.
Great, that's lovely. So what would you like to do?
I'm gonna head over to the church proper and see if Paul is up and needs anything done.
Yeah, for sure. You go ahead and head over to the church. When you go in and go into the sanctuary, which you would have had to cut through to get to Paul's office and then to his loft, Paul is already in there. He is dressed. He's wearing like a plaid button up and khakis, and he is combing through the paperwork that he left on the pulpit, just looks sort of confused. Um, but just keeps skimming through, like tilting it off his glasses and then pushing them back up. No, he never looks up from his paperwork.
Morning.
Calvin, good morning. Has our friend left yet?
Unless he did in the last 2 minutes since I walked over here. No. I was reading the paper.
He nods and puts some paperwork in his bag and pulls out other paperwork. That's fine. I was told he would leave by 9 and it's 9:30. But obviously he is able to stay as long as he would like. The church is a very welcoming place, and he would stop me if I said anything to him, so sure, he can stay as long as he wants.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get the impression that he's in any rush to leave.
I doubt it. He was sent, obviously, to make sure everything is ready for our special day on Sunday, so why would he ever have left?
I think I'm gonna make my way home at some point today, though.
Oh, no, absolutely. Feel
Give
free.
him an
Just,
eye about. I don't even want to say anything. Dude's planted bugs all over the church. I bet.
yeah, just in case. Paul nods and goes, absolutely. I understand that you have matters to take care of at home, and you have been such a big help here.
And feed my cat.
Yes, you obviously. So I just ask that you stay until our friend has departed, which I was assured would not be later than noon, if that late at all. And if you could just stay until he is gone, I would very much appreciate that. And then I will have Samuel help me with some last minute duties to attend to. And then, yes, everything will be fine. I just ask that you keep in touch with me as to how things are going with your cat.
Will do.
Fantastic. He picks up his bag again. And as he is walking past you, sort of just hands you a sheet of paper and keeps walking, like does not make eye contact, nothing, just hands you the sheet of paper and leaves.
What's on this paper?
Once you look at it, and you can hear the door behind you shut, on this sheet of paper, it looks like it's notes for what they wanted Paul or whoever was speaking at the time that it was happening to say. Essentially about love of a community through sacrifice, and how the town that is the happiest follows the light. And it was like a big thing for a bunch of people to repeat, of the town that is happiest follows the light, blah 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 blah. And that people were supposed to be repeating this, and as that part was happening was when basically all of them would get stabbed at one time.
So a cult. All right.
Yes, it looks very cult-like, from what they wanted. At the bottom is scrawled like in handwriting. All of this top part is typed, but in the bottom part is just like scrawled in handwriting, and Paul writes, it looks like Paul's handwriting, at least to you, and it just says, "They have my daughter. I'm going to try to go get her. That's why I had no choice."
God damn it. Now I feel bad for Paul.
The thing he just left, right? He just walked out?
left. He went through like a back door that would lead back to his office. Like you know that there are ways out of the church back there too, but like you don't know where he went beyond that door.
Well, I'm assuming I'm being watched, so I'm gonna just take that sheet with me, say just casually to the restroom,
Yeah.
and go take a photo of it there as well, and then flush it.
Okay. So you do that. When you come back out of the bathroom, you see your friend with no name.
Hey, cool!
he-
I made the right decision, hopefully.
He is standing there now in the sanctuary. He's just looking over things one last time, but overall seems to be satisfied. He's nodding to himself, counting out one more time all of the pews, all of the half pews, all of the pamphlets and the sheet music and the everything. But he seems to be satisfied with what's been done in here.
I won't disturb him and start making my own count to justify my being there.
Yeah, so you go ahead and start to at least act like you're counting out, whether you're really counting out or not. He just sort of watches you now that he's done with his count, almost like make sure that you're getting the same numbers he is. And when you're done, he nods to you.
I'll just give him a nod back, a wave.
Calvin, thank you so much for your hospitality in the past hours. I have enjoyed watching you all do what you do. And thank you so much for your eagerness to help with this very sensitive situation. We will be in touch and we will see you in just a couple of days. I will be sitting with the officials in the balcony, but should you need me in the meantime, here is my number. And he hands you just a small card. There is no name on it, there is no identifying information as to who he may work for, but it does have a phone number printed on it. And he says, should you need help in any way, please feel free to contact me. And he leaves.
Thanks. And I'll, let him out, open the door for him as he walks out. He can help us. Kylie, he can help us.
Oh,
He said he can help.
he can help. I bet he can.
I'm gonna call him and tell him everything.
He can help you. Right into the fucking loony bin. That's where he can fucking help you. The scary dark room with the metal beds.
The cold, scary dark room with the metal beds.
Oh boy.
What?
He's out. I'm gonna inform Paul that he's left and tell him that he gave me the card. I'm tempted to even get rid of that card. Honestly, I don't know if I want something that he handed to me on me. Calvin
That's
watches
totally
Alex
up to you.
Jones. Can you tell?
Yes.
Smart
That's
man.
not canon. Please no.
Smart
Please
man.
don't make
No,
it canon.
that's not canon. Alex Jones doesn't exist in this universe. Anybody that yells
Thank
the
God.
water turn the frickin' frogs gay does not exist in my world.
A morally better world.
And nobody can
Water
make me
turns
put
the
him in my
frogs
world.
gay. I forgot about that.
I mean,
The only
Turning
good
the
thing that
frogs gay
came
is
out
pretty
of that
base,
was
but-
the remix that somebody put
That
on
is fair.
YouTube.
That is a banger.
But as the creator of Grimsby, the overall world in which Grimsby sits, and also everything else about this campaign, Alex Jones doesn't exist here. Let it be known. Canonically.
yes.
Canonically,
Absolutely
he does
not.
exist. What time did we end up at the
Rehabilitation Center.
I think you all got there a bit after 10, if I remember correctly.
Okay. What time is it now?
For Calvin, it is probably right around like 11:30ish by the time that they get done with all of that.
So I'll make my way home.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. You go ahead and leave. Um, is there anything else you would like to do besides go home?
You should do some other
Not-
stuff before you go home.
Should I?
Yeah,
Why is that?
because it
They
works
won't
out.
have Penelope at your
yeah, it
house for
works
like
at the
another
timeline
hour.
better.
Well, I could be there showing. Oh wait, no, you're right. I wasn't there when you showed up.
Mhm.
No. But yeah,
Oh,
but the
God.
good news is, but by the time they get her to your house and stuff, there's only like another hour before they show up at your house.
If you want
This
to
episode brought
just,
to you by me sneezing.
if you just want, if we want to speed the timeline along,
Yes.
what we can do that. Like if you just hang out at the church for a little bit, you are going to get a text on your phone
Yes.
from a number that you do not have in your phone that
Cool.
says there is a package at your house. If you'd like, you can meet me at Bella's. And that's all it says.
Is it at least a local number?
No.
Shit. Do I want to do this? Let's let the dice decide. Yes. I'll take that chance and go there.
Okay, so you go ahead and head towards Bella's. You obviously know that the last time you were in Bella's, a machine exploded, people died, and you barely got out. But now, when you approach Bella's, everything looks pretty normal. Going in from the front, you hear the bell ding as you come in. There is no Bella behind the counter, but there are a bunch of her high school age workers. You sort of see, like, when people go in and out of the kitchen, you can see that like a replacement for the espresso machine that blew up has been brought in, and everything looks very similar to what it looked like before the accident. You know, if you didn't know any better, you would say it never happened at all, just like you're supposed to think it didn't happen at all. But you, Tom, and Quinn, and Maya are the only ones that still remember it happening. But you walk in, and I assume, unless I'm completely reading the situation wrong, that he'll see Quinn sitting down at a table. Will he
Quinn
not?
is sitting at a table in the back corner so that the walls are to her back so she can see the entire cafe. She is reading a novel and drinking her smoothie. And waits to see what Calvin's going to do.
There are other people here other than employees, right? It
Oh,
just
yeah,
seems like a
yeah.
fairly popular local joint.
Yeah, there are quite a few people milling about. Nobody is sitting as far back as Quinn is, but there are a few people sitting at tables. There are a couple people that are sitting up, like, at the bar, like, sort of watching. There's, like, a little, like, it looks like a display case, but instead of, on this section, instead of seeing pastries on the other side, you can watch pastries be made. So, like, there are a few people sitting there, like, enjoying their food and watching, as one of the high schoolers, like, makes dough to make something else. It's not the busiest, but it's definitely not empty either.
There is a table next to her that is open.
Yes.
Is that Mr. No Name Pal here? our good friend, our best friend from long ago.
You do not see him anywhere now.
Good. Okay. I was about to roll observation for that.
No, I will give you that for free. This man is a 6 foot Hulk, whose face you will probably never forget just because he is that just. He's got like that presence, but no, he's definitely not in this room.
Okay. I will sit down.
If you come near Quinn's table,
What?
if you come near Quinn's table,
Uh-huh.
you are going to hear her say, "Do not sit at my table.
Okay, I was thinking about it.
Sit. Sit at the table next to me."
Are we doing ventriloquist voices now? Sweet.
I mean,
I can do that too.
she's reading her book.
Oh, can you say it without moving your mouth?
I mean,
How can you do that?
Huh?
I mean,
Oh, I
could
trained
you do
myself when I
that?
was in like 3rd grade.
I mean, for the most part.
It helps to have a big mustache and a small mouth.
I learn new things about you every day, Ryan Beck.
Yeah. She'll just kind of like acknowledge you with a nod and go back to her novel.
I'll sit down at the nearest table.
And since she is already like she's fully scoped out Bella's, and I mean she's been there for a while, purposefully, just a recap, she's purposefully put herself there so people can see her, to see if anyone was going to come and collect her, and they have not. She is still flipping through her novel and sipping on her smoothie, and
What?
she says, that thing we were looking for, we found. It's at your house. We didn't know.
All right.
We didn't know where else to go.
I didn't know you had a key.
We didn't.
Do you have a key?
Nope.
All right.
And then, I'm trying to think of, God, what all did we do?
What is Quinn reading? I'm curious what kind of novel she reads. She reading like Harlequin?
Oh, fuck no. Right now, she is probably just for, nostalgia's sake, she's probably reading, we'll say The Beautiful and the Damned.
Right on.
Feels fitting. She said others are there. I noticed the article. Any information on that?
Yeah, but we shouldn't talk about it here, probably. There's something going down.
The number that texts you is my burner phone. Use it only in dire emergencies and always delete your text messages. I have a lot
Can
of
I send you something there now?
Of course.
I'll send over what I have, documents-wise.
She will just kind of flip through them, and then shoot them to her laptop and then wipe everything. We have some issues.
No kidding.
Okay, so I saw that they have Paul's daughter. Does it say anything on those? It said in the article that the government officials were going to be there.
Mhm.
Okay. My brother started lying to me.
Actually, back up for 1 second. You've now seen all those documents. You would recognize a couple more names from that list of government officials. One of which is Allison Changeland.
Fuck. Okay. We have some bigger issues. My brother is now lying to me. He said they had something they had to discuss at City Hall this evening, which I can only assume has something to do with the government officials that are going to be at the church. And
Probably.
one of those officials is Maya's mother.
All right.
We need to sit down, and I need to clue you in on a lot of what's going on. So I'm going to go home, or at least make it seem like that's where I'm going, and then I will head in a roundabout way back to your place.
The man who was there knows me by name. If that's this person was there visiting to, I guess, approve things for government purposes and knows my name. So I don't know if my place is a safe place to be at this point, but none of us knows that anyway, I guess.
Well, as far as we know, no one's been there while you've been gone.
That's good.
And it looks like they may be tagging you as the new person to take over, because let's be honest, we've all seen Samuel. He's a bumbling idiot. So if
Fries a mean egg.
Well, yeah, some people don't understand what they should be doing. Well, right now, our first objective is at your house, which I think could help clue us into a lot more. So why don't you head home? I will let them know that you're headed that way. I will go back to keeping up the image that I'm trying to keep today, because no one has come to get me yet. And then I will meet all of you at your house, because I have a lot of information to share with you.
Sounds like a plan.
So you keep up your day, Quinn. But
I also text Tom from my burner phone and say,
Yes.
Calvin is headed home. He knows you're there. And then delete it.
You get a text back a minute later that says, had to run out. Penelope needs some things. Or actually, no, it says P needs some things. Doesn't use her full name. Maya is with her, but I let Maya know.
Okay.
And with that, Calvin, you go ahead and head back to your house. When you get there, you see Maya sitting on the side of your guest bed. There's a girl laying in your bed, in the guest bed, like under the covers with an extra blanket. But despite all of that, she's still shaking very violently. She goes from looking very alert to looking like she's anywhere but here. Her eyes get very like glassy and fogged over. She's mumbling a lot of things to herself, but definitely not loud enough for anybody to be able to make out what's going on. When you walk in, Maya just sort of nods at you and just keeps looking at the girl laying in your bed.
Assuming this is Penelope, right?
Maya just nods and goes, "Yeah, Tom's little sister. She doesn't seem to remember a ton, but she remembers me and remembers Tom, and remembers their other sister, but we haven't found her yet."
Does she need anything? She's shaking a lot.
Yeah, we can't really figure out why. I am not super good at medical stuff. Tom left to go get her clothes and stuff. We don't know how long she's been, in these clothes or anything. And Tom figured she could probably use something warmer if she keeps shaking like this. So he went to my place to get some stuff. I think he just needed out to like get away from seeing her like this.
I get that. Quinn's coming back here at some point. There's some stuff we've found out, and I can go over with her what we know about, or what I found out. They're gonna wipe a big chunk of the town in a couple of days at the church.
They're gonna what?
That's the plan, apparently. I was just told.
Oh God.
With something new, apparently. It's not the same as the other stuff. Maybe if we can get her more lucid, she can tell us something more about it. Maybe.
On Quinn's way home, she's going to run by a drugstore or some kind of shop. She's going to grab a couple of things she doesn't actually need, and she's going to buy a box of hair dye for a dark color. Probably like a brown color to match Tom's.
Okay.
And then she will go home, and then make sure she's loaded up with everything she needs, and make her way to through back alleys and such, like she did with Tom earlier, to Calvin's. And knock on the back door.
Okay.
I'll open it.
Yeah, so you two come in, and in the bit of time that it's taken, Penelope doesn't seem to be any better, but she also doesn't seem to be any worse. Every once in a while, she's able to sit up enough to sip some water, and like take a bite of a couple crackers or something like that. But like she's still just very like in and out of it. She keeps saying stuff about like a cold, dark metal room, keeps mumbling Allison's name, but she doesn't seem to be able to like put thoughts together. As quick as an idea comes to her, it then leaves again.
I'm going to go straight to Maya. I'm going to hand her the box of hair dye and some like Epsom salt type stuff, like, you know, things along those lines. Does Calvin, I'm assuming Calvin has a bathtub.
Yeah, there's a bathroom, like a guest bathroom that's attached to this room.
I'm going to say, tell her, run her a bath. We'll keep an eye on her. And then I'm going to hand her the box of hair dye and say, you know what to do.
She just nods and takes everything out of your hands. She quickly goes and sets everything down in the bathroom, and then comes back and takes the blankets off of Penelope and starts to like help her get out of bed, because Penelope at this point has gotten so weak that she can't stand.
Yeah, I will help her get Penelope into the bathroom and settled in the bath, and then I will come back. All right, so here's where we're at. The last time Tom was wiped, he was not wiped correctly. He got no introduction as to who he was whatsoever. They wiped him and he woke up in his bed. Come to find out, I've had some of my memory come back to me. I've been doing research. Tom had two sisters, Penelope, who you've met, and someone named Luna, who we have not yet been able to track down. Penelope we found working at the receptionist desk of the Marjorie Alderman? Is that her name?
Alderman.
Yeah. The Marjorie Alderman Rehab Center. Fully aware of who she is as Penelope, but not aware of Tom. She thought she was an only child. Same parents' name. And anytime we broached the truth to her, she would fall out of sync and fall into what she's doing now. So we got her out, and this was the only place I could think of, because I knew you were at the church. This was the only place I thought of to bring her. I noticed...
I'm not surprised. They're doing this new version if they're seeing stuff like this happening. I don't know. If they're trying to fix that, I don't know. Go ahead. Just trying to synthesize.
I noticed the name Allison Chanslin with the government officials on the map you showed me.
Mm-hmm.
Allison Chanslin is Maya's mother. Maya does not seem to be on good terms with her mother, and one of the few clear things we have gotten from Penelope is that if she saw Maya, she was supposed to call Allison.
Oh, we should probably make sure that doesn't happen then.
I agree. Riley's been lying to me. Little lies. But he's getting sloppy. So I think to an extent, because I was going to bring him coffee, he said that they had something at City Hall that they were taking care of. So he was busy. So I can only assume that has something to do with what they're planning on doing at the church. But
Makes sense.
from looking at this map, they can't take out the whole city. So, what I don't understand is what are they going to do with everyone who does not go to that church?
There's not a specific roster of people who are expected to show, right?
No, not of
Okay.
like just regular townspeople outside of the government officials list, of which there are about 25-ish. There is no like expected persons list.
Okay.
A whole church full of people getting wiped with something new while government officials watch. I mean, everyone who's not in that church, it's going to be pretty obvious that something's going on. So there has to be a second plan in place. And if they're involving the police in the discussions, I don't think anyone in this town is safe.
You think you can get him to tell you anything about what's actually going on?
No.
Okay.
He's never lied to my face before. And he did it, and he was sloppy. And I didn't call him on it. So he thinks everything's okay. But there's only a matter of time before... I'm sure there were cameras at the facility. At that point, things just happened so quickly that it wasn't a thought. So I feel like there's only a matter of time before someone starts coming for me and Tom. So Tom is supposed to be laying low, and I'm making myself as visible as possible. The only thing I can think of is that Allison has something to do with Penelope. Maya and Penelope were friends in high school. So why would Allison not have something to do with her disappearance and everything that's happened to her since then? Apparently they also took her sister Luna, but we haven't gotten a clear answer as to what has happened other than Luna's gone. And Tom is... From the memories I've gotten back, Tom was not who Tom is now. Tom didn't deal drugs. He didn't do anything criminal. He was an upstanding member of this community. And apparently, someone I was involved with. And they wiped that from me. So they're trying to make Tom out to be someone that he's not. And by not wiping him correctly, he doesn't know any different. I don't trust Teddy, the guy he's always going on about, because your emergency contact makes sure that, you get from one place to the other and that you know what's going on. I don't trust Teddy. I barely trust anyone. But I know that Maya's file has been flagged in the police's computer system. I know that her mother is in some way involved with all of this. I know that they're trying to make Tom out to be some kind of scapegoat and shunned from society while taking both of his siblings from him. And I know that my brother is, even in the smallest way, involved. Whether he realizes the magnitude of what is being planned. And while I didn't trust Paul, did you know who Paul's dad is?
Can't say I do.
Paul's dad is Jeffrey Kahn, the man who ran the toy store.
Right.
There's everyone that we've met and gotten to know in any way, shape, or form, I have run through the system. And Jeffrey, Audrey, and Catherine, my parents, Penelope, Luna, they all have some article somewhere of some reason that they are no longer in Grimsby. I don't know what it is about the Weavers, but there's got to be something important with that family for them to have taken both Luna and Penelope. Why
Right.
they didn't take Tom, I don't understand.
I mean, maybe they did at some point. We don't really know.
Maybe. But unfortunately, we haven't figured that out yet.
So, what threads do we have to pull at here? Do we have anything about where Luna might be?
All I found
Do we?
was her photo. I found some medical records that really didn't give any information. And then, of course, one of the articles saying that she went to rehab for medical reasons.
Same place?
That I'm not sure of, but I can only assume since it's the only rehab in this town. And Penelope says she's gone. So I've yet to push that any further because of her condition, but I have a feeling if Luna was still around, we would have heard something by now.
Maybe.
I get texts. I don't know who from, but the first one led me to the toy store, and the second one led me to the rehab center where we found Penelope.
So we know something then. Get anything more recent than that?
No, not since we grabbed Penelope out of the rehab center.
Maybe it was her.
I don't think so. She's not, her lucidity almost seemed like it was programmed. She didn't think she was a patient there, and that she was just doing her job, whereas the orderlies we may or may not have had issues with called her a patient. She said when she had her lucid moments, she said that she would go to sleep and she would wake up in a dark room with metal beds. And she said that she heard people talking. They didn't talk directly to her, but she could hear people talking. I don't know why. But I feel like all of this is leading to City Hall.
Probably somehow.
And if City Hall is now coming to the church, you have to be there.
Right, that's another thing. We're running up against a wall there because unless we can do something about it in 36 hours now or so, I have to be there and we'll probably end up getting wiped with whatever this new thing does. I don't know. I mean, you saw what's there. There's not really anything there.
What I don't understand is why they're trying to wipe everyone now.
Well, it's not even everyone. That's the weird thing. What's that about?
I don't know. And that's what bothers me. I can't put it together. Nothing tragic other than the explosion at Bella's the other day has happened. Especially in the last 6 months. I mean, we've all been wiped within the last 6 months.
Well, wait. But when that happened, I mean, nothing really that we know of triggered it. They just showed up. Right? Like they were just suddenly there. Something else might have been going on in the background that we weren't aware of yet. Is there anyone there that we could talk to?
Bella's?
Yeah. I mean, Bella's been wiped, so
Bella's
I feel like maybe we
wiped.
fucked that up.
Oh, I completely forgot. Tom swiped files from Bella's office. It was
He gave those to you, right?
yeah.
Showed
it
them to you?
was
Okay.
The comings and goings of when people were wiped and when they would come back.
Right, yeah, and there was a month missing or so,
There were
or
weeks,
some big gap of time.
there are weeks missing. And Mal, correct me if I'm wrong. It all seemed to be around the time that we would have been wiped.
Correct.
We're nowhere in those files. I don't know why I was wiped. Obviously, none of us know why we were wiped. But the fact that we are all in the same time period, who's to say something didn't happen that we were all involved with?
Seems more than likely.
Quinn, you feel your burner phone start to buzz.
I look at it.
You're getting a phone call. It doesn't have a number listed. It just says unknown caller.
I answer it, but I don't say anything.
You hear a ring, like the ring finishing up, almost like it's connecting you to the other line, and then you hear, "This is a message from the Reality Corporation. We have a message on behalf of Luna. Would you like to hear it?"
Yes.
It rings through and patches you somewhere else, and then you hear the same message again go, "This is a message from the Reality Corporation. When you hear the end of this message, please hang up the phone and await another call from the Reality Corporation." And on the other end of the phone, you hear what almost sounds like two different conversations being pieced together. One pair of voices, it sounds like a man and a woman, are arguing back and forth about numbers of supply. He says something along the lines of, "That won't be enough, Allison. We don't have enough. There isn't enough to pull off what we need. We have a whole town to take care of, and this is maybe half if we're lucky." And she says, "No, it will be fine. This is in 2 phases, and in order to do this correctly, we have to do them in halves. If we wipe out the whole town at once, we are restarting an entire structure that we have to build from the ground up. If we do it in halves, we have half of the town to help rebuild the other half, and then once that half is rebuilt, we wipe the other half, and the first half rebuilds the second. It will be fine. Is it is restructuring without us having to put in so many resources. It is the smart way to rebuild again. We will fix what they did not do right the first time. And then it goes into static. And then you hear a second conversation, but this time it is a trio of voices. And you immediately recognize these voices as yours, Calvin's, and Tom's. You 3 are talking back and forth. You can't really make out what you or Calvin are saying. But you can make out Tom's voice very clearly. So whatever was recording this obviously had to have been closest to Tom. But you hear him say, "We can do this. No, we can really do this time. Like, we have the way out. We have it all figured out this time. We just have to get there before anybody catches us." It hasn't worked yet, and I get that, and I get that that's scary, and we have a lot to lose this time, but we can do it. I know we can do it. And then the line goes dead.
Quinn just lowers the phone and just stares at it. I know what they're gonna do. Their plan is to wipe half of the town and let the unwiped half help rebuild. And then once the new rebuilt half is settled, they're gonna wipe everybody else. We've done this before. Something, I don't know if it was
What?
this or what it was, but you, Tom, and I have tried to stop something before. We thought we had it figured out. We thought we could do it. That has to be what happened. We didn't succeed. We failed. Can I do a memory check?
Yes, you absolutely can.
First roll of this whole fucking game. Okay, come on. Ooh, that is an 18. Plus
Yee.
my 2 is a fucking 20.
Okay, so standing in this bedroom, you think back to the conversation you just overheard, and all of a sudden you are in your living room again. You and Tom are sitting on the couch, and Calvin is pacing back and forth in front of the bookshelf, and Calvin just keeps shaking his head, listing off basically everything that could go wrong will go wrong. You can see notes just piled all over the coffee table. You have blueprints to the Capitol. You've got schedules of different people that work there, like the security and what their rotations are. You have seemingly planned out everything that you can. And Tom is in the middle of the speech that he was giving on the phone. about how this time it's going to work because you all know things and you all have learned things and things like that. You very quickly go through just in flashes, sort of, you all going and trying to get into the Capitol building at night. You all make it as far as a really long hallway that has marble statues in it before a security guard busts through the other end. There's a fight, and though you don't see every detail, you see that Tom goes down first, and then Calvin. And then as you are trying to make your way back through the double doors to get back out of this hallway, something hits you from behind. And that's all that you got.
We did this. We had a plan. We had blueprints, we had timetables, we had guard rotations, we had everything, and we tried to get into City Hall, and we must have been missing something because we didn't make it out. That must have been when we were wiped. It was you, me, and Tom.
Maybe we had the wrong approach. Maybe that wasn't where we should have been. I don't know.
Or we didn't have the right distraction.
Maybe.
If the important government officials, half the town, and what I can only assume are going to probably be the police and the, oh my god, what are they, tag teamers?
Tag teamers?
And what I can only assume are going to be a shit ton of tag teamers at the church. Wouldn't things be less centered around City Hall? Wouldn't they put all of their efforts into making sure everything went correctly at the church?
Probably. That makes sense. It's sound.
You have to be at the church.
Yeah.
But Tom and I could try. Maybe with Maya and Penelope, if we can get her to some kind of stable state, maybe she can remember more. How much time do we have left?
What is it? Something like 36 hours?
Yeah, I was about to say at this point, I'd say you have about 36 hours before the church service is about to start, or that before the church service will start.
I've got everything backed up. Everything we know so far. And like I'll shoot some kind of message to my encrypted, thing about the memory I just had.
Yeah.
Into my log. everything's backed up. And Tom and I both have a way of finding it. We just have to put the pieces together. So, if we get wiped, we can at least have a starting point. Or we don't make a move, and you get wiped, and we clue you back in after you're back. But I feel like the time to try and pull what we pulled before would be when the attention is focused very, very strongly somewhere else.
Yeah, I think so. If it means I get wiped in the process, then, well, drew the short straw this time.
Wouldn't be the first time. I pull out my phone. I know he's doing the thing at City Hall. And I text him and I said, hey, did you see the article about that meeting at the church?
He texts back a few minutes later, and just says, "Yeah, I saw it. Not sure if I'm going to be put on rotations to be there yet or somewhere else. Seems like higher ups are still deciding on all that."
Are they putting you on rotation for the government officials?
Yeah, looks like they want a certain amount of personnel there just in case. You know how those types of people are. But like I said, they haven't picked anything yet. I just have to, and then in quotes, it just says, wait for an answer. Or so I've been told.
Okay. Well, let me know. I don't want to go by myself, is all I'll send him.
And he'll reply and go, yeah, sounds good. I know why you wouldn't. That building just always gave me a bad vibe.
I'm gonna text back, yeah, me too. If all else fails, I'll just get the rundown from you later.
Sounds good. I hope you're having a good day. Love you.
Love you too. Okay. I say we wait for Tom and we'll fill him in and we'll make a plan. We're on borrowed time,
No kidding.
but these phone calls, these text messages, there's got to be others out there, or at least an other.
At this point, Maya helps Penelope back in into like the bedroom At some point, Maya went and pulled out just like a pair of Calvin sweatpants and like an oversized shirt to kind of put Penelope in afterwards. You can see that Penelope's hair, even though it's still wet, is definitely like a dark brown now instead of red. And she's still shaking, but not as badly, it seems, as she was before. As Maya kind of gets Penelope tucked back into bed, you get another buzz on your burner phone.
I look at it.
This time it's a text message.
Okay.
And all it says is, she was never a patient. She was always a prisoner. 1519. A flower can't grow without roots.
Oh God, hold on. One, 519. A flower can't grow without roots.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna text back. Where was that flower planted?
You're texting that back?
Yeah.
Tom found where they were. Maybe if you take back the original, she'll have something you can use. And then a minute later, another buzz comes through.
Hold on. Maybe if you take back the original, what was the end of that?
She'll have something you can use.
Okay. And it buzzes again.
Yeah. And then the second message that comes through says, "Don't let what happened to me happen to all those people. I was barely able to save myself. I don't think I can save hundreds."
Well, that's new.
I'm just gonna text back. And who are you?
I may be the last person to still be alive at the end of all of this. And then a minute later, another text comes through.
Hold on. Okay.
And all the last one says is, "Please tell Tom and Penelope that I love them."
Oh, fuck.
I figured that was maybe her. I was like 30% sure.
Yeah.
So very sure is how things go in this game.
I'm just gonna text Luna ? Actually, oh no, it's an old brick phone. There's no emojis. I'm just gonna
Yep.
text back Luna ?
Yeah. I'm sure Penelope's told you a bit, but that room they kept her in, they've never let me leave.
No, I'm just making these shorthand. I'm gonna send back. How are you sending these?
I said they never let me leave. That doesn't mean I haven't left.
Love it. I'm just kind of waiting there while she's furiously texting.
I'm gonna text back. Where is the room? City Hall ?
I can't be sure. I can never get farther than a couple rooms away before somebody comes back again. Wherever I am, it's definitely underground, but that's all I've got.
I'm just gonna text back. Stay safe. We're going to find you.
I can only hope.
I'm gonna text back one more question. Why the both of you?
It was all of us. Easy means to an end. A small experiment in the midst of a whole town caught in a science experiment. Or a small sample in the midst of a town caught in a big science experiment.
Okay. I'm just gonna text back. Stay safe and be careful.
You too.
It's Luna. I'm gonna explain to him everything that I just sent back and forth. I'm gonna wipe the phone. I still have Luna. And she seems completely lucid. She seems completely aware. Apparently it was all of them.
Makes sense.
So maybe the way they wiped Tom was purposefully done.
I
And
imagine so.
turning him into this social pariah was to take it a step even further. I don't. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know where this room is. She said it's underground, which could still be City Hall.
Yeah.
Penelope, kind of at hearing you all talk about Luna, she's not making a lot of noises, but she just kind of keeps looking at the two of you. Eyes dart back and forth, and she keeps just very under her breath going, Luna, 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 Luna. While she just keeps watching you.
Do you know where Luna is?
In the room with metal beds.
Do you know why they keep Luna there, but they take you out?
We were experiments.
What kind of experiments?
The new stuff.
The new white bite?
Yeah. We were all a little different. Me and Luna and Tom.
Do you know how you were different?
We weren't different. This stuff was different. Different for each of us.
So with Tom, it just wiped everything. So was Tom's experiment successful?
I think so. I think that's why he didn't come back. Because his was right. But they started it a long time ago. It's why I've been gone so long. And why Luna's been gone so long.
They took you at 16.
Yeah.
Did they take you first before Luna?
Mm-hmm.
What about your parents?
I don't know.
So has the white bite not worked on Luna? Is that why they keep her there?
Luna was like a control.
And then with you,
They give me small doses.
they would reprogram you to think a certain way.
Yeah. I heard them say once that I was the goal. But they just hadn't gotten it quite right yet. I think Tom was like the plan B. Like if you couldn't program somebody, at least you could make them really forget, you know?
And you said between work and the room, they would put you to sleep, right? So you never saw where you were other than just the room?
No, I never saw anything. I would wake up on my metal bed again, and then the next time I woke up, I would be at my desk.
Okay. Found where they were. If you take back the original, she'll have something you can use. Do you know that there's a rose called a Penelope rose?
Mm-hmm. I think I'm named after it.
Have you seen them before?
Maybe when I was little? Maybe more recent than that.
And I turned to Calvin and I asked him, do you think that's a literal text? If we take her to where Tom found the Penelope roses, that she'll have something that we can use? That, or is it a
Maybe.
metaphor that if we take her back to wherever this room is,
I don't feel comfortable trying to take her back to wherever that is. I mean, that seems like a really bad idea.
I know.
Shit, even taking her outside seems like a bad idea.
Well, that's why I did the first step of dyeing her hair, and she seems
Yeah, it's not gonna hurt.
to be feeling better. Penelope, are you hungry?
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I ate real food. I mean maybe I've been eating. I don't know. The longer I'm here, the better I feel, but I think maybe they were giving me more than I knew about.
Okay, well, why don't you just lay down for now and we'll get you some food, okay?
Okay.
And we'll wait for Tom to get back and we'll figure out what to do from here, okay?
Okay, that sounds good. I could use a nap.
Okay, you take a nap and we'll make some food. And Maya will stay with you.
And she just sort of nods and looks at each of you just for a second, almost unsure. And then she like lays her head on the pillow and closes her eyes.
I am just gonna be pushy Quinn, and I'm gonna immediately go to his kitchen and just start looking for stuff, even if it's just like broth and so stuff to make broth or a very simple soup
Yeah.
and bread. Basically things that aren't too rich or complicated if she doesn't remember the last time she had real food.
Yeah.
And just kind of slowly kind of make that and keep it so it'll stay warm.
Maya comes into the kitchen and sits at the small table that Calvin has in there. She obviously heard you explain all this to Calvin while she was getting Penelope back in bed. What do you think Luna meant when she said she had to save herself, but she couldn't save hundreds?
I don't know. That sounded like it was from experience to me.
I know. Do you think it couldn't have been the big wipe that happened before I was born, right?
I mean, from what I know, yeah. What if... Okay, so Penelope said she was like the control, right? So what if they just gave her like a dose of this Wipeite 2 stuff and Luna found a way to combat whatever it was supposed to do? And that's why she became the control, because she had it, but
Maybe.
she wasn't affected.
They said there was something different. She said there was something different about them. For Tom, it completely wiped him.
For Luna, or for Penelope, it made her a zombie to do what they wanted with.
And she was programmable,
But Luna seems
lucid and coherent.
and capable. I mean, if she's got to sneak out of that room to get stuff to talk to us.
When were you gonna mention that your mother works for the government?
She doesn't. Give me intuition.
I'll do that too, I suppose.
Yeah, go for it.
My D12. Come
Nope.
on, baby. I got a 10.
I got a 3.
Okay, well, Calvin, you don't know anything. But
As
Quinn,
per usual.
You just keep making the soup, man.
Yeah. But Quinn, you can
Just
tell
stirring.
that as far as Maya's aware, she's telling the truth. Maya has no idea that her mother works for the government.
Okay, so we're gonna have some real talk right now. You and your mother obviously don't get along. Or your mother would be in your life, right?
Understatement of the century. But
Okay.
yes.
So what do you think your mother does?
She's a secretary. Some like doctor's office or something. I don't know. She always dressed like very professionally for work. It was like one of the biggest fights we had about how she always talked about how I needed to like dress a certain way and be a certain way, and it was for my future and blah 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 blah. Never really floated my boat. But here we are. We fought about a lot of things. Don't think that's why we don't talk anymore. But like, she's a lot in a lot of ways.
Do you see her often? Do you keep in contact?
I've not seen her in like 3 or 4 months. And even then, it was just like a pass by on the street sort of situation. It wasn't because I chose to be anyone she was. We don't talk.
You said
I'm pretty sure she just gave up when she couldn't have the perfect poster child she always wanted.
you said she worked at a doctor's office. Do you know which doctor's office?
Not off the top of my head. I'm sure I probably have it written down somewhere at the house, or like have something from her on like stationery or something. I never made it my business to keep up with her.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know now. Your mother works for the government. Your mother has something to do with what's going on. And I have a feeling your mother has a lot to do with Penelope, especially if she was told if she ever saw you to call her.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Once P said that part, I kind of figured she wormed her way in somehow. Working for the government, didn't really think that one was her style, but hey,
I mean,
Allison's full of surprises.
other than just nagging at you, did she ever actually try to change you?
I mean, outside of the usual things that a mom would do, she bought me clothes to dress like her, wanted me to go to school to be like her, but I mean, outside of that, there's nothing I can remember, but I guess now knowing her actual occupation, that doesn't mean anything. She probably could have wiped me anytime she wanted.
But you somehow always came back to being you. If that was the case.
Yeah, I guess she could never get me to change enough. Which means I've not had the second one. Or at least probably not. If I did, it wasn't in the same way Penelope did. Or else I would look and act like my mother.
You would have been like Luna if you had received the second version.
Huh, okay.
And again, that's saying if you
If.
received it.
Yeah.
How do they know that it's gonna work on a church full of people?
What if they don't? What if they don't know? What if this is just one big stupid risk? It sounds like something my mother would do. Either that, or they've found a way to make sure that everybody reacts the same way that either Tom or Penelope did. Something about Luna and possibly me has been written out of the equation. They would have had to make sure that it didn't exist anymore for this to go off without a hitch. And if they really think it will, then that means something happened. And or if not, they were making the dumbest risk of their lives.
But if they had figured out a way around it, Luna wouldn't still be coherent.
They
Because
would have
wouldn't
given
they have
her a new dose.
Yeah, wouldn't they have tested on her to prove that they had fixed it?
You said there's extras on the sheet, right? More than the amount of people in the church, but not enough to do the whole town.
Yeah.
That's what the extras are for. If somebody starts to react in the same way that Luna did, they'll just give them another one until it works.
God, that much could fry someone's brain.
What's one fried brain when you have a whole town of people doing what you want?
Okay. We can't do anything more until we get Tom back.
May I make a suggestion for when he comes back?
Sure.
They can't do anything to anybody if they don't have the Wi-Fi.
That's why I wondered where it was stored.
Oh, come on, it can't be that hard to figure out, right? Like,
There's only so many places it could be.
there's only so many places that can be big enough to manufacture it.
You think
If
it's made
nothing-
here?
If nothing
It's not
can,
brought in from somewhere?
No.
if nothing can get out, then there's no way anything
Yeah,
can
no
get in.
can get in.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, City Hall's the biggest building in the town.
And we were there before. Maybe that's why.
We didn't. Maybe we didn't know. What?
We gotta figure out where they make it. Exactly where they make it. If it's in City Hall, we need to figure out what part of City Hall it's in. And we have to figure out a way to stop it. Whether it's to stop them from making it or destroy what they have. They could easily kill people. Or worse, they could turn them into Penelopes.
We had to have missed something last time. I still can't remember the actual reason we went.
Well, let's look over what we've got. Everything in your saved files, everything that Calvin took pictures of. There's got to be something, anything.
That's our best lead on where to find anything like that. Yeah, absolutely.
When you remember trying last time, was I there?
No. It was just myself, Tom, and Calvin.
Then maybe I have something that could help that I'm not realizing. I'll see what I can figure out.
I am. I wish I would have grabbed my laptop, but I didn't want to bring it out of my safe room. Do you have a tablet or something?
I got a legal pad. Oh, like a
My-
tablet.
Technologically. Of course you don't. You're a fucking priest. What do you need it for, right?
Maya sort
Whoa.
of half laughs and grabs her bag and pulls a tablet out.
See, there you go.
Okay, so I'm immediately. Do you have everything backed up?
On my tablet, yeah, everything's good. You can do whatever with it.
Okay, so I'm going to completely wipe it to factory settings. Completely. I'm going to go and download all my VPN stuff on this tablet. Basically, re-encrypt it. All of the technological blah 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 whatever for this tablet. I am then going to access my archives.
Okay.
I am going to look and see, because I probably have it. I'm going to look for that blueprint of City Hall that I remember seeing in the memory and see if I have it in my archive.
You are able to find it fairly quickly, and you do still have it. It is just the bare minimum outlines of the building. Doesn't give too much detail about the inside. Like it shows you how offices and stuff are divided, but not. You never were able to figure out specifics, it seems, or at least didn't mark them here, about like who has what office or what certain rooms are used
Does
for.
it have the floors though? Like, does it show
Yeah.
that there's a basement to City Hall?
It does. It shows that there are 5 floors total, including the basement. So there's the basement, the ground floor, and then 3 floors above it.
I can almost guarantee that that room has to be in the basement of City Hall. I mean, none of us have ever followed a truck after a wiping, so we don't know where they go.
Mhm.
But I mean, City Hall's not a well-trafficked area. So why wouldn't they turn the basement into some kind of lab? Maybe that's where they take you when... Okay, so do they... out of game question, if Quinn would know, do they take you back home to whoever your emergency contact is, or does your emergency contact come pick you up?
To Quinn's understanding, and to pretty much everybody's understanding, the way that it goes down is that you are transported afterwards to somewhere, who knows. You are essentially woken up in that area long enough to learn who you are again, and then you're put back to sleep and taken back to your home, and your emergency contact is usually at your home when you wake up.
Okay. When we, and this may be, and if I have to use my spark for this, I'll use it to retcon. When we went to the rehabilitation center, we had to go around City Hall.
Yes.
I didn't think about it at the time, so again, this is me maybe retconning. Did I see any white trucks or vans when we went around City Hall?
Give me a history. Yeah, we'll call it history. Why not?
Okay, I only have a D8. Come on. It's a 5.
What do you normally roll on that?
A D8.
Okay. So for a 5, what I can tell you is that you don't remember seeing any of the vans near the Capitol building. But you definitely saw some on the road near the Capitol building, like the one you were traveling to go toward the rehabilitation center.
That's it. It's the rehab center.
Makes sense too. I think there was something about it, about Luna being in the same place, right? At some point, something like that
Yes.
was said.
May- Maybe they. Do you think the rehab center is where they process all of the wiping and all of that, and then they take you back? Because no one ever goes to the rehab center. I mean, the only reason we went is because of the text message.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know the rehab center exists. How big, like from the outside, just looking at the building, like how big was the rehab center?
It's fairly decent size. You could tell that it's probably at least a couple floors tall. From the outside looking in, obviously you wouldn't be able to tell if there was a basement. But you can definitely tell it's a couple floors tall. It looks large enough that there are like definitely different wings to it. Um, you would say there's probably like a couple wings on each floor.
Maybe that's where they're creating it. Because we only saw orderlies, we never saw patients.
Yeah, true. Well, from what you told me.
Yeah. We didn't see a single patient, and Penelope was working as a receptionist. Did Penelope ever specifically say that she was taken or driven somewhere? Or did she just say that she was put to sleep and she woke up in the room?
She was put to sleep and she either woke up on her metal bed, or when she woke up she was at the reception desk. No recollection of how she got to either place.
It's gotta be the rehab center.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, they were desperately trying to keep hold of her. And they referred to her as a patient. Why would you have a patient as a receptionist? I think that's how they tested how well the Wi-Fi would work. And the minute we introduced Tom into the mix was the minute she started to glitch.
Yeah.
He was out of the controlled area. He wasn't part of what story they'd crafted.
Think we can get back in there? Or you can?
badge. He swiped one.
That's good.
So maybe the problem was we were in the wrong place last time.
Could be. Certainly seems that way.
Well, it sounds like we're all going to rehab. And with that, we will end tonight. I think that's a lovely stopping point. With
Looks
some,
like we're all going to rehab.
yep. I couldn't resist.
Cue Amy Winehouse.
But yeah, so that was a wonderful information-packed night.
Yeah, really.
Holy shit balls. Okay. Drew, when you watch this back, because I know you're going to, man.
Yep.
You best prepare yourself.
Whew.
You best prepare. Because we're about to go real hard after the holidays.
Yep.
And you've both had your test of faith. I haven't had mine yet.
Isn't everybody so excited for after
No.
Christmas?
No.
Always.
No, you've both gone through your fucking trial by fire. I have not had mine yet. And I am really not looking forward to it.
It'll be great.
It's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so bad. It sucks you can't learn from your mistakes.
Correct.
It's my ability.
To a degree, they have. They know that they did this before and they lost.
Well, we know we did it wrong.
Yeah.
We had it wrong.
Now you just have to figure out what you need to do it right.
Fuck. This is gonna be so bad. This is gonna be so bad.
Anyway, thank you all for coming out to watch tonight. Just a reminder, this channel is dark until after the holidays. We will be back with Everyone's Forgotten episode 6 on the 3rd. Yes, January 3rd. In the meantime, you can catch Kylie and I over on No Man's channel tomorrow for Be Gay Do Crime, which will be super fun.
Be gay, do crime.
The Last Masquerade on Ladies of D&D, and then that's on Wednesday, and then next Tuesday we're on Ladies of D&D for The Road That Rises, and next Wednesday we're on Ladies of D&D for Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Thirsty sword lesbian.
We are going to be finishing out our year with you all over the internet. Ryan, what are you doing to finish out your year now that you don't have anything for this channel for a couple weeks, for a couple weeks?
I'm working overnights to make big dollars.
Ugh,
Heck yeah.
gotta
And
hit
reading
that grind,
books.
man. Read all those
Yep.
books.
We respect it. Go get your bag.
Just
You
to
know?
Yep.
let you all know, we are hoping to do a bit of an overhaul over the break.
Yep.
We've been discussing amongst ourselves some different systems we'd like to play, modules, things along those lines. We think, and this is just kind of preemptory, we think we're going to keep Monday kind of our experimental night. So it may be, some more indie games. It may be
One shots, like
things along
shorter
those lines.
campaigns.
We'd like to, if we can and get it scheduled, we would love to every once in a while feature a guest player, even if it's just for a
Yeah.
one shot, just to kind of pay back the favors that for the wonderful offers we have gotten to branch out into other people's channels, but to also bring some light to players who maybe don't play as often. I know my beautiful friend Sarah, she runs her own table on Twitch every once in a while.
We're gonna let Sarah come be a player for a one shot or something.
Sarah,
we're working on
hopefully
it.
we're gonna get Sarah to join us. Maybe we'll do some, trading out. Maybe we can rope Diana or Adam or someone.
They have such busy schedules. I will never ask.
I know. I might though.
I mean, look, a girl can dream.
I'm just saying it's possible. Gone Rogue is also running.
Yeah, they've got some really cool stuff.
They've been putting together some essentially like packages for
Adventure Bones.
Adventures. They're calling it Adventure Bones. So they kind of what it seems like without actually like digging into it yet. It seems like they've kind of crafted kind of the basis of something you could run, and then you just kind of go from there. So we've started kind of trying to look at that. So we're hoping in this next year to keep bringing you D&D content, of course, because it's our staple. It's our favorite.
What we all started on.
It's how we all started. It's how this whole group met. We're gonna get back into Triton, which is actually how this group started. Which
I was not there at that time.
No,
that was
but
before Mallory.
That was before Mallory, but that's how this group began. We're gonna get back into our Triton storyline that Naeem has made this beautiful, expansive world for. We're definitely gonna hit Muppet Born, our whatever we decide not copyrighted Lego is.
I keep calling them Brickums, which I know Tiffany will
Brickums.
never go for, but I think is hilarious.
I'm a Brickum person.
I'm a Brickum
Brickum
person.
man. And those will probably, I know, especially Muppet Born and Triton are definitely going to be Thursday shows.
Thursdays. Yeah, those are Thursday shows for sure.
Because those are all run off of D&D 5e rules. I believe Tiffany's Lego campaign is also off the D&D core
I think
book.
so, yeah.
So it looks like Thursdays we will definitely keep because we all have that in our schedule. So that way we will have the whole party for those days.
Yeah.
And then Mondays, like I said, will kind of be our experimental days. We might have smaller groups. We might do a one shot. Maybe we can have Ryan run a couple more Candlekeep mysteries for us. So that I get to dress up like a pretty fairy again.
I've got a whole list of stuff for us to look into running.
We've been looking into Savage Worlds. We've been looking into all kinds of things. So if there's anything you would like to see, all of our socials. They're all up on
everywhere.
Our channel. Shoot us ideas, suggestions. If there are different systems that you really like that you would like to see us try and play a game of, let us know. If we find through all of these random games that we're playing over the next 2 weeks that we really, really liked something, we might bring it back to this channel and try and run a game of it.
I think running Lasers and Feelings at some point would be fun.
That was what you did for Boy Problems, right?
That is the system that Boy Problems uses, yes. So not necessarily running Boy Problems here, but like running a Lasers and Feelings game here, I think would be very fun.
That actually seemed really neat, and a pretty simple system to follow.
That one and Honey Heist are both fairly simple to like follow and like learn to GM, which is why I'm okay saying that if we wanted to do them, I'll GM them. Not many things would I say that you will never catch me GMing D&D. There are too many rules for me to remember all of them, and like I just
we save those for the experts.
Yeah, those are for experts to run. I myself will run things that either I have written or I find extremely easy to remember. and that is it.
I have always sworn up and down I will never GM a campaign of any sort. But who knows? Maybe I'll
never
find
know.
some system and try and run a one shot. It'll probably be absolutely horrific, and you will all pleasantly ask me to never do it again. But
It'll be wonderful, and I'll be very proud of you.
Mallory will be the only one who is proud of me. And everyone else will be like, don't ever let her do that ever again. But yeah, so
You
we
could look at Dungeon Worlds.
we
What
could.
is Dungeon World? Send me
It's
a
like-
link to it.
It's very similar to D&D, but the core mechanic is like yes and involves the players in world creation. It's
So
pretty neat.
It's
So it's
D&D
D&D?
improv.
which is
Yeah,
kind of
honestly,
what we
a
do
lot
anyway.
of it is like based toward that.
It's
Yeah,
literally
I think you would like
D&D
it.
improv. Yes and.
Yes, and
Yes and is the number one rule of
improv,
improv.
Yep.
which
but
we've
yeah.
all done at one point or another.
Oh,
I love
God,
this table.
I fucking hate improv.
I love improv.
Um,
I like dramatic improv better than
Dramatic
comedy
improv, yes, but comedy improv can suck it. I have been in comedies and I've been told I have good comedic timing, but when it comes to comedy improv, I fucking hate participating.
I always loved improv. It was kind of my
It
favorite.
stressed me out, and give me a text that I can analyze the character and do character background and all of it. Don't throw shit at me and be like, here you go, come up with something, there you go.
My favorite show I was in was over half improv. We had half a script, and every night we made up the other half. It was great.
Absolutely fucking not.
It was awesome.
Absolutely
sounds-
fucking not. Oh my god.
Sounds like an anxiety attack.
Oh yeah, no, that literally made my entire stomach just become a knot.
Well, I have really bad anxiety, but I have confidence in myself to make things up as I go along.
Yeah, but what about everyone
That's
around
the
you?
only place that I've been able. Oh, I would only have done that show had I completely trusted the rest of the cast. And thankfully we
That's
had a
my thing,
very
is,
fun
like, I
cast.
could be like, all right, I've got this idea of where this is gonna go in my head, but like, if everybody doesn't follow you, then you're fucked, and you just have to
Yeah.
figure it out.
No, and then you just adapt to what they're doing, and it's like,
No.
okay, I guess we're going in this direction. Then that's fine.
I am not a yes and person.
I know.
I am not a yes and human being.
I
But
am, though.
anyway, so the point is, we are going to start digging into new content to bring you guys, other than what we already have planned. And so, again, if you have any suggestions, let us know. And hopefully, if we do not talk to you before, because Mal and I have a little bit too much time off, so
Yeah.
we may stream some video games.
We started this is or
It Takes Two. Yeah, we
and
gotta
I
finish It
said
Takes
I
Two.
want to finish this before we went on vacation, and then we didn't even play anymore before we went on vacation because life got so
didn't
busy.
touch it again. So we may stream a little bit of like video games and things like that. But if we do not see you before, have a lovely holiday season
Yeah, absolutely.
and have a wonderful New Year. And we will see you back on January 3rd with more Everyone's Forgotten.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. Have a good night.
Good night.
Mary Chrysler.